All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Excess Exceed. I am thrilled to be here learning about Eugenia today. This is Gearface. I'm privileged to be joined by Eugenia expert, I would say, Zain. Zain, thank you so much for being here.
I think it's the first time anyone's been privileged to talk with me here.
Listen,
Hey, but we take those.
Listen, there's going to be a lot of firsts on this episode because not only am I joined by Eugenia expert Zain, I'm also joined by, let me check the resume here, Zain expert D. D, thank you as well so much for being here.
My pleasure.
Bringing in
I have an absurd number of games against Zain.
Yeah.
Also, thank you for bringing in my translator for me.
Exactly. Oh, but I was gonna, damn it, Zain, I was gonna make that joke.
You're getting it.
Listen, all right. Actually, so I have a couple disclaimers as always, audience, before we get started. But the first and most important one is that Dee and I have been on a voice call for like 6 hours just making each other laugh. And Zain has ice cream. This is going to be a weird episode, and that's okay. We're all going to have a lot of fun tonight. I'm not super worried about it, but it might be a little bit breezier than the uptight professional operation you've come to expect from Excess Exceed. The actual real disclaimers that we have, number one, is that you should play Exceed for fun. We're going to be talking on the show about how to play Exceed to win and what that looks like for Eugenia. If what we're saying doesn't match up with what you want to be doing to play Exceed for fun, you shouldn't play that way. You should play in a way that you will play longer and have more fun doing it. That's true of every character. It's especially true of Eugenia. Disclaimer number two is that we don't know everything. Even with two experts on the call, if you can believe it, we average out higher, I think, than normal when there's fewer gear faces and more experts on the call. But even then, we don't know everything. Exceed's obviously not a solved game. Seventh Cross, the season that Eugenia is from, is a particularly played season of Exceed, but that doesn't mean that everything about it is known. I would say that, again, despite the two experts on the call, Eugenia is a little bit of an underexplored character. It's super possible that you have a different line with her than what we're going to be advocating for. That doesn't mean that Zain and Dee are right and that you are wrong. Find your own lines with this character. Tell us why we're wrong. We'd love to learn together about whoever this strange, weird elf book cat woman is. But yeah, with all that said, Zain, parentheses, and D, I would love if you would tell me a little bit about Eugenia.
With her kit and all that stuff. I take it then.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. No, we're good.
She is a half elf, but that's another story.
Yeah. She is an absolute fantastic character that you really want when you're playing her. If you're not making your opponent salty, then you are not playing her correctly. Okay. One of her, I would actually probably say, like, if we want to go with, I don't know, do we want to start with the character herself and then just come up from there, or what?
Yeah, I think that usually makes sense. Yeah, but yeah, tell me, as we're going through this, tell me a little bit about making people salty. What am I?
Okay.
How is that my game plan?
So one of the
cards, so that we can go through them after that.
Okay. Cool.
So you go ahead. Start with her, and I'll go, and then you can go this way. I'll have cards ready.
So with Eugenia right here, most of her kit is all about. Oh my goodness! Why? Oh, that's right. Okay, cool. I was trying to actually hit the Alt button, and it wasn't working, and I was off the board. That would explain a lot. But with Eugenia, she is wanting to make your opponent discard as many cards as possible. When you discard one of your cards, you get to, if you have the same printed speed as a card that's in your hand as your opponent actually discarded, you get to do 2 non-lethal damage to your opponent, which means that sometimes you can actually just straight out stun your opponent for no reason. Because it's 2 non-lethal damage, but with lethal damage on top.
Yep, okay. It is cumulative for the purpose of calculating stun. So if you play sweep, and the opponent plays sweep, or focus, and on hit, you make them discard a random card, and then you're able to match the speed of their discarded card with the printed speed of a card in your hands. You didn't deal 6 damage, you dealt 8.
Okay. All right. And that extra little bit of damage on top was non-lethal, but it did contribute to the stun. I stunned their sweep cleanly.
Yes. Please also note, anytime that this is happening, except for outside of strikes, anytime during a strike this is happening, it's going to be because of a hit effect, which means during the hit timing you deal non-lethal damage, and then you deal your attacks damage.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So
Got
usually
it.
the
So,
fact that it's non-lethal is just to make sure you can't kill someone outside a strike. It will still help to kill
okay.
them inside strikes.
Okay, I see. So the actual order of operations here, we got before, hit, damage, after.
Yep.
Okay, understood.
Yeah.
So among the normals, I don't, other than sweep, I don't have any like innate ability to make people discard cards. So I'm
No,
assuming
but you. Yeah, sorry.
no, go ahead.
So
Oh,
into one of my
hold up.
Yeah,
I see a spinning card here.
Okay. Yeah.
Parry is a way to make people discard cards, and that
Yes.
leads into a really good question that clearly this can happen outside of strikes as well.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, this can happen both on in and outside of strike.
Okay, cool. So I assume then, because this is such an important part of her, it's printed on her character ability, it's going to be an important thing, that the rest of her ability to make people discard cards is going to be in her kit itself, because it probably can't be just sweep and just parry that does this.
No, but there's also another card that is a personal favorite of mine is Focus. Focus is one of my personal favorite cards, and it's reading. One of my favorite ways of... I mean, there's a reason behind why a lot of people, when they play against me and they see I'm playing Eugenia, they have Assault in hand. They will discard that Assault as quickly as possible and make sure it's mulliganed out of their hand, because one of my favorite things to do is hit that reading with Assault, and if they have it in hand, and play Color Spray.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's
opening
start
play.
with one of the most punishing attacks in all of Exceed. Color Spray.
Yeah.
If the opponent has 2 or fewer cards in hand, stun immunity, hit, the opponent must draw or discard cards at... Oh, God.
Yeah. So the most infamous Zain play, as he's referencing, is turn 1, reading, assaults, you close 2, and you get hit by Color Spray, causing you to discard however many cards you had left in hand, which if we're on turn 1, the answer is probably, hold on, second player gets 6, 5, 3 cards, thank you. So discard 3 random cards, and now you probably take 8 damage, because I'm going to look at the printed speed of those discarded cards and try to match it for 2 more damage.
Okay. So
that's horrifying.
So that's the way that this interaction is going to work then. That I have this character ability that every time somebody is forced to discard a card, it triggers, and I have the opportunity to reveal something and ping them for an additional 2.
Well, to be clear, so if Color Spray makes somebody discard 3 cards,
right?
Then you take those 3 cards and you check their printed speeds, and you may match one of them to deal 2 extra damage. So this is a once per turn effect, and it's also when you discard 1 or more cards, you may reveal 1. So there's lots of reasons that you can only do this once in a strike. So you're never going to get more than 2 damage out of it in a given strike.
Okay.
The thing that's backbreaking my Color Spray is that now the opponent has only 2 cards in hands. Zain, would you like to show why that's significant?
So 2 cards in hand is into one of Shimmer of Madness, her best transform in the game. It is the one thing that you're going to be mulliganing for. If you do not mulligan for Hanging by a Thread, you're going to be having a really... basically, most of the damage that you can potentially do a lot of it is off of Shimmer of Madness, Hanging by a Thread.
Okay.
So it's like when your tech has hit, if the opponent has 2 or fewer cards in hand, +2 power.
Okay.
Yeah. Which means implicitly, Color Spray will have +2 power, like, once that transforms in play, because if Color Spray hits, the opponent has 2 or fewer cards in hands.
Hit effect. They're going to combo into each other. I will ideally be able to then ping them for an additional 2 damage because they've discarded cards anyway.
Yeah. So that's a 10 damage special.
This is 10 damage and make you discard a whole bunch of cards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, now that's the case where Color Spray is the command grab. It's unsafe at that point, because if you're actually making them discard with it, it doesn't have any defenses. It doesn't have stun immunity, it doesn't have guard.
Right.
Which is why you'll often want to set it up either with reading or with just a hard read. If you go, well, I'm certain that my opponent is going to play a focus or a sweep, let's ruin their day and the rest of their life.
Okay. And so, Zain, the fact that you started out this part of the conversation talking about a way to confirm Color Spray, as you'll read somebody to do it.
To be fair, that's not really confirming it. It is the most dangerous play on the planet.
Right.
Because if you say you're reading Assault into that, a good player is going to be like, oh, okay, this is Color Spray. I don't have Assault. Well, I'm going to win this fight and just hit you for whatever.
Yeah.
They know it's a speed too. So
yeah, like most grapplers, you're perfectly able to play a mix-up here, because as it turns out, almost all of your other specials also beat assaults. It's just that your greatest reward by far is Color Spray.
Okay.
So yeah, the Streamer of Madness obviously only hits at ranges 1 and 2, but all of the other ones also beat assault from opening positions. In fact, your opening mix-up is really strong in general. If you don't have Color Spray, Zain, what do you prefer to use in the opening turn?
the opening turn, a lot of times I have a tendency to use Absinthe Arrow, which is on hit. Your opponent draws a card, then discards 2 cards at random.
Okay, and so this is so every time I see the opponent discards any number of cards at random, I'm not getting multiple procs of additional damage, but I'm like getting more opportunities that I might get the damage. Is that fair?
Yeah,
right.
Basically, every single card you're able to discard out of your opponent's hand is a potential damage.
Okay. Okay. So in terms of then, and I'm just looking at the speed values that Eugenia can represent, and I'm seeing a 7, a 1, a 2, a 4, a 3, a 5, a 6. All of my normals are going to be hitting. So like I have a lot of speed coverage.
Yeah. By design, Eugenia has 1 through 7, just like the normals with the exception of block.
Sure. So in most situations, if my outside of situations where I'm playing Bang and he drops a 9-speed ultra or something like that, I'm going to be able to at least have the opportunity to reveal a card that deals a little bit of extra damage. How important is that? How important is maintaining that threat of being able to do that to Eugenia's game plan? Do I always want to be holding lots of different speed values to be able to ping people no matter what they discard, for example?
Yeah. A lot of times the way I tend to play is I kind of play the way of, oh, I get what I get, and then sometimes I'll actually hold a card in hand if I can ping somebody down, and I don't want them knowing I have a certain card in hand. I'll be like, oh, I have nothing to show.
It's a May effect. You don't even have to do it. Okay.
Yeah, it is entirely possible that you may decide that, oh, I actually, I have this normal in my hand, my opponent's reading in their deck. I don't want them to know I have this normal, especially if it's their turn next. So, they discard a speed 3 and I don't reveal Spike. Like, you can play it safe. This is not a premier source of damage. Most games you will get some amount of extra damage off of this. But the ways in which it's the most important are, with a certain transformation and also the way that it interacts with your sweep.
Right. So you can use it to get over an important breakpoint, stun your opponent's sweep, for example. Which is in that case, you're probably always going to do it, right? Like if you can stun a card you wouldn't otherwise be stunning by doing that, you're getting that. So this is like incidental damage that's happening. I guess the other card that we've highlighted already is Hanging by a Thread. The other transform we've already highlighted. So, Zain, when you say that this is most of your damage, I'm seeing there's a pretty... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So it is... I would say that it is when I say it's most of my damage, it makes it to where my opponent can't go below 2. If they go below 2 cards in hand,
right.
This is where this all of a sudden becomes very... Like, Eugenia goes from being kind of like, oh, she has very low numbers to all of a sudden she can her grasp can literally just hit for 5.
Right.
It is very deceptive because if the opponent has a hand, let me just grab a character, right? So
yeah, go for it.
The opponent has 3 cards in hands. Well, if they respond with one of them, now they're at 2.
Right.
That's a problem. If they wild swing and you played sweep, now they're at 2. That's a problem. Right? Because you're going to hit one out of their hand with sweep's effect, and now they're at 2 or less. Right. So it generally means they're pressured to slow their tempo down to keep a large enough hand size that this is not a problem. Which, as we'll get to later, sets you up for how you kill them. But that'll be
okay. So one way to threaten the opponent is just with literally the damage of this card. or of
Yes.
this transform rather. If they are prepping to stay out of that less than 2 card range, I'm looking over her kit very briefly. I'm seeing a lot of the opponent discard some number of cards in here.
Yeah,
Can
so
can I just drain them of resources and proc this despite them trying to stop me, or do they need to like be kind of careless with their resources to get hanging by a thread?
well, I will. Now that you mentioned that, there is a what do you call it? Ultra? Is it Ultra?
Boost.
It's
An
Ultra,
ultra
right?
boost.
Ultra
Yeah,
boost.
that's an ultra.
So you have Ultra. There we go. I'm trying to remember my. It's been a hot
Yeah,
minute
so
since I've
these are
touched
specials. That's
Exceed.
an ultra. Yeah, so this ultra boost, go on.
Yeah. With Cat's Cradle is when the opponent uses prepare action, they draw 1 fewer cards. Now the opponent must discard a card at random.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
so
then
if it looks like they are low on hand and they want to prepare a bunch to rebuilds, just say no.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
also, if you also there is another thing. One of my favorite cards is it's on Plot Hook, and it's another transform. It's Time for Tea. As an action, spend 1 force to make the opponent discard a card at random. If you are in Exceed mode, do not draw at the end of your turn. Which most of the time that's not gonna really fully matter there with the way we're gonna be mostly that I tend to play Eugenia. But
Okay. So
the
we
fact
can
that
kind of ignore the exceed mode part, but I've got something that I can just spend a force to make the opponent discard a card at random outside of a strike for free. For free, not for free. I'm spending a force, but I don't need to commit to a strike to do it.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, let me make a note here. So a very common tech to use with this is if you pay a force. Oh, sorry. If you have previously used your ability and you've revealed, there you go, a normal. Now you have a known normal in your hands, a card that you don't want your opponents to know you have, even if they don't have reading. It's just dangerous for your opponents to know your hands.
Right.
Well, hey, look, I have a perfectly good 1 force here that I can use to make them discard a card at random, and then maybe I get another reveal. I draw for end of turn. Next turn, well, probably I wouldn't do that card, but you get the idea. It loops on itself so that you maintain a steady hand size while continuously depriving the opponent of their options, maybe pinging them for a little bit of damage, and increasing the total amount of sodium chloride in the game.
And this comes back to, Zain, what you said at the very beginning, that like what you're trying to do is make the opponent salty. And that's not just because you personally, Zain, are a bad person who loves doing that. This is also how Eugenia is going to win.
Honestly, I've come to the terms with myself that I'm like, if I can make any person salty, the saltier the better at times, or I'm like, I don't know what is wrong with me. And it is an absolute great time. Now, granted, when Eugenia's been playing against me, and she's all of a sudden doing her stuff that she wants to do, I hate it playing against her, but I like playing her.
So is it fair to say then that we're talking about playing to win on this show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it generally the right way to approach Eugenia that if the play I'm thinking of is going to annoy my opponent or make them angry, it's probably the right play?
Well, kind of in a very weird way, because if you can send your opponent off a little bit by them not making the correct play or making them, overthink what their actual play is going to be, it just gives you a nice advantage because now you can actually do things that you probably shouldn't be able to get away with.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
if they're trying to,
yeah. So can I interject?
Yeah.
So I play a more resource-oriented Eugenia. I do love inflicting salts, but don't tell anyone. So word of that better not get out. Anyway,
it's a good thing that nobody watches these videos.
Yeah, such a relief, right? So generally speaking, you can view it as attacking resources. And there we'll talk a little bit about gauge balance and hand balance a little bit later. But broadly speaking, you don't really want to be like, you're at 3 cards, the opponent's at 3 cards, you do this, they prepare, you do this, they prepare, because you don't have the chance to deal damage. This is only really worth it if you also get the bonus damage, or if you know that they have some options that you need gone, and particularly in a small hand, right? If the opponent has 1 card and you get rid of it, and you know it's a card they were keeping, that's obviously great.
Right.
The opponent reshuffles and picks up their Astral Heat because they're a Season 5 character, and you go, well, I don't have parry, let me just see if I can pull it before they get to use it. That's pretty reasonable. But it is, in the event that the salts is not the thing that is setting the opponent off kilter, it is still going to cause problems. Because Eugenia is actually secretly a grappler.
Mm.
And when the opponent is burning random options and you are burning controlled options, that allows you to decide who has what's, or rather, that allows you to control what side of the mix-up you still have and watch what sides they don't have anymore.
Right.
So you use it to thin their options.
Okay. So Zain, you care about the salt as in like the your opponent getting mad at you and tilting off the board and making poor plays. But Eugenia, the character and the character's mechanics care about discarding cards and bleeding options, which is going to cause some salt probably, because that's going to set up her combos later on. Okay, so both you and the character benefit from doing things that are going to annoy your opponent. Then.
Absolutely,
I think I get you.
Yep.
Okay, so I have this occasional ping engine that I'm going to be making use of. I have a lot of discard effects throughout my kit. You guys mentioned that my opponent is going to be like trying to maintain a hand size. And there's some way I can kill my opponent for doing that.
So because of that, you have the other Ultra, Queen of Hearts. I looked at it is on hit, the opponent discards their hand, then draws a card, +1 power for each card discarded this way.
Whoa.
This is supposed to be a crown. Just ignore it.
I already did the whoa reaction to color spray because that's draw or discard at random until they have 2 in hand. I stopped listening after discards their hand, and then I started listening again after you said +1 power for each card discarded this way. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And this is 7 speed.
Yes.
Okay, so it's actually. Oh God. Okay, so hold up. Wait, I think I see the line here. So I get some amount of bonus power for every card they discarded. And then I get this.
Yes.
And then because they discarded a bunch of cards, I have many more chances to ping them for 2 additional damage.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is usually about 10 power.
At speed 7, and they discarded their hand.
Yep.
Sorry, I just like I kind of sat back in my chair to really just kind of take that in.
So strictly speaking, I would not call her a full grappler. She's a half grappler because of how she interacts with movement and resources. But being a half grappler, one of her defining features is she has ranged pokes like Absinthe and Arrow, and she also has command grabs. And this is one of the strongest command grabs in the game, which is probably not even the first time I've said that. But if Color Spray is one of the most punishing attacks, period, Queen of Hearts is one of the most reliable execution tools.
Okay.
Generally speaking, if you hit this, the opponent is dead.
Okay. So is the plan then make them discard a bunch of cards, preferably with Color Spray, it sounds like, and then just finish the game with Queen of Hearts? Is that like plan A with Eugenia?
That tends to be sometimes my plan where it's just like, okay, cool. I'm able to come into you. Now granted, there's times I will give my opponent 1 turn to be like, I am going to be hitting you with Queen of Hearts. Are you gonna move to get out of my way? And I will burn a ton of resources just to make sure I'm like only like 1 away from them. It is not the smartest play to do, but it tends to be where it's like, okay, cool. Now they're actually having to burn a bunch of resources to get away from me, and I'm basically kind of playing that resource game.
Okay, and that speaks to what Dee was saying a second ago. That as they're burning those resources, that's opening up holes in their deck that you can then exploit with your other options.
With one major caveat, you don't have any movement tools except for 1. But there are no movement effects in your attacks except for a pull on Plot Hook.
Okay. Yes. Now I was
watching. You are paying resources, honestly.
So like against Ryu, for example, this is not sustainable. Where I'm paying 1 to chase him, and he's just walking away from me until we get to the corner.
Yes.
Okay.
That is not very much. One of my favorite things to do, especially with Plot Hook, or even Plot Hook, or even into Assault, it is because you gain advantage on them. Is to pull them into range 1, you might get hit, but it's a thing I'm willing to take. I gain advantage, and then now I'm threatening with Queen of Hearts.
Okay, so here is a scary Queen of Hearts range.
Yes.
Here's a scary Queen of Hearts range. Here's a scary Queen of Hearts range. Here's definitely a scary Queen of Hearts range.
Yes.
I've got to be careful at like if I'm not near the corner, but
Right.
like this doesn't work, for example. But like that's pretty flexible to set that kind of thing up.
Yeah. Maintaining hold of your assaults or EX assault or defend assault so that you can make it a little easier to confirm against people with fast defensive options that they can use to kind of pop up and surprise you are very good ways to secure an in game where you go,
Okay.
yeah, at some point I'm going to play assault and then Queen of Hearts and the opponent will be able to do nothing about it.
Okay. Okay. And as you've been saying, that is like a plan. That's something that is going to end the game if I can pull it off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's layer 1, let's say, because eventually people will decide that they need to never allow you to land Queen of Hearts to kill them.
Right.
Which is completely fine, because if they are playing against Queen of Hearts, they're maintaining low hand size, or they are staying out of range 1 by paying resources. And it turns out that the other half of being a half grappler is that you are not at all helpless outside of range 1. You have range tools.
Okay. So
On curve at 2, on curve at 3, on curve at 4, 2 to 4 with guard. Hits up to range 6, by the way. Like you have all of these 3 cards are generally flexible tools for fighting at mid ranges, ranges other than 1.
So I'm a grappler with projectiles, or I'm a projectile character who has a couple of really, really, really messed up close range tools. Either way, it's flexible.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So Zain, I wanted to ask about the boost kits because we have talked a little bit about Edge of Insanity, which I will have a couple more comments on. Do you use the other Ultra Boost? And if so, what do you use it for? Or is it always is it just not worth Queen of Hearts?
So Queen of Hearts, originally before when I first started playing Eugenia, I was using it because I used it to get the transforms out.
Yeah,
most of the time it's not bad. You pay 1, you pay 1 force, search, you get to search your deck for a card and transform it. The big downside is you also let your opponent search their deck for a card and add it to their hand. So it allows your opponent to do too much just for 1 boost that kind of does something, not at this moment, but just kind of does something.
And if you're doing it, I assume it's for this transform. It's for hanging by a thread most of the time, right?
Most of the time, if I don't have 2 copies of it in hand, I would actually transform this. Now, granted, back when I was originally started playing, I really liked Time for Tea. Time for Tea was one of my personal favorites. But it kind of just Time for Tea just does nothing.
Okay.
It is probably the most you could get away with not ever hitting Time for Tea, and you won't even miss a thing. Won't miss anything.
Okay.
Yeah, the last Eugenia game I played, I put it in my gauge.
Yeah,
and that's an okay thing that you can do because hey, this costs 3 gauge, and you might need it for that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then also like you have Unhinged. Unhinged is actually her second really good transform.
Second best transformation. Yeah.
Yes. When you set an EX or Wild Swing, it gains hit. The opponent must discard a card at random.
Okay, so now you've turned everything into a sweep, basically. You've turned every EX attack and every Wild Swing into a sweep. Okay.
Yeah, how good that is can vary based a little on what your deck order is. Notably, Eugenia is actually not a good Wild Swinger.
I was about to ask, with a kit full of close range and long range options, you're never going to be super consistent, I guess.
No,
I'm extremely consistent. I always Wild Swing this at range 1.
You're never going to be consistent with what you want.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, no, and this at range 3, by the way. Those are my 2 very consistent Wild Swings.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so it is. I'm always a fan of Wild Swings. I always advocate for doing Wild Swings effectively. And as Eugenia, that will be seldom because you will usually be counting your cards and going, "Wow, my deck is not good to Wild Swing into right now." Don't do that.
Right. Okay.
So usually I don't rely on the Wild Swing half of this. If I want this, it's because it secretly reads your EX attacks have +2 power. Because you can get 2 more damage off of a random discard in many cases.
Right, or potentially even more from
or more if it happens to drop them to thresholds.
If you happen to get below that. Okay. All right. And Zain, is your evaluation there pretty similar? The Wild Swings aren't where it's at, but the EX attacks are?
Yeah. I would honestly, most of the time I hardly ever Wild Swing. Usually if I'm Wild Swing, I'm desperate.
Sure.
And it's not a good spot you want to be with Eugenia.
Right. So you certainly wouldn't be transforming it so that you could do that, but
No.
you're looking for a way to get a little bit of extra value out of your EX attacks to ping them for a little bit of extra power.
Yeah.
Extra
for
damage,
sure.
rather. Okay. So when we're talking about this is a tutor effect. This is super
Yes.
rare in Exceed.
Yeah.
We have one really good target for it. One sort of less incredible, but still pretty useful. But it's on Queen of Hearts.
Yes.
How often am I actually making use of this?
The boost? No.
The boost.
Never.
Yeah.
Never, because the biggest thing with it is you gotta basically look at it and see, is it worth giving your opponent a free card, letting them, especially if you're playing this into, let's just say, even the same season 2, you're giving your opponent basically a free transform.
Oh, if they've already got one half of an EX transform,
Yes.
they're like, sick, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's just
Okay.
like you're giving your opponent like something that they want, and it's not great because of that. Now, granted, if it was to where it's like, oh, there was really no downside to it where you check your deck for a transform and then transform it, I would consider it a really good boot. I would consider, I would actually think about playing it. But
Maybe
because
even
your
if
opponent
you
also
won.
searches. Yeah.
The problem is the search.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would also
okay.
like to note, by the way, the most important transformation is on an attack that is on curve.
Yes.
It's
Sure.
just not hard to land this.
This is and at a pretty consistent so it not only is it on curve, it's fast enough to catch cross on initiation. So this is actually pretty tough to stop.
Yeah. People will
Okay.
like to, if they can, they will do things like respond with Grasp at range 1, respond with EX Cross or EX Speed 6 at range 2, depending on what's in their kit. But most people either can't or just won't be able to. Like, they'll run out of the options to do that. Or you can play this EX if you happen to get an EX, but at that point, might be better to just transform it.
Just transform it, yeah.
Yeah, in any case, like, they will fall back on, okay, I guess I'll play a sweep or a focus and I'll trade up massively into you. And you will look at that and you'll say, okay, fine. No problem.
I'll take that trade. That's okay, because they're going to assume it's Shimmer of Madness because that's got the scary transform on it, and they'll make you pay for it. But it's probably worth it.
Yeah, it's worth what you pay for it. 6
Okay.
life now, way more damage later.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So obviously, this is the target for any of the tutors that I do use if I ever use them, but I probably won't. Queen of Hearts too important. Giving them an important transform of their own or an important card of their own is too important. But it's there. If I can't, well, I guess if I just haven't.
In case of emergency, break Force Bank.
Right, but the emergency probably isn't that I can't land it because it's pretty easy to land. It's that I can't find it in my deck.
Or it's that you can't get anywhere near your opponent. Right. It is possible that your opponent is very good at staying at long range, and they just won't stay at range 1 or 2 long enough for you to land this.
Okay.
It is also possible that one copy went wrong. Right. They actually had an EX cross, so your first copy missed, and now you go, man, I'm playing against Ryu, and he sure has, multiple speed 7s at range 1 and several that work at range 2. I don't think I want to risk missing that. Like, it's better than not getting this transformation. It's just worse than any other way of getting the transformation.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's a fair way to put that. And there's no reason to use it for any other transform at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, asterisk, exceptional circumstances, but that is the general rule.
General rules are always wrong, as we know from previous lessons. Yeah, as always. So okay, so I have my engine target, right? I'm a 7th cross character. I usually do have something that I want to commit to the board to make myself much stronger in the long term. I have two absolutely incredibly punishing cards.
Yes.
And I have this like kind of incidental value generator that I'm going to be using over time. I'm starting to see kind of where the line is going, especially with how many ways that I can combo these together to do crazy damage. What else is Eugenia doing in her game plan, if not just setting up for Queen of Hearts?
So she also has the other one that has the opposite effect, is Cat's Cradle. So if your opponent is trying to make sure they're at minimum, just the minimum hand size.
Minimal hand size, yeah.
Yeah, minimal hand size. This gets stun immunity, And the other ultra is hit. The opponent draws one card, draws a card, then discards 2 cards at random, -1 power for each card in your opponent's hand.
Yeah. One
And
starts small.
it's a 9 power card.
And one starts big and gets smaller.
Right.
So this is and it might be 11, although typically if you're in a situation where your opponent is okay being on low hand size, it's because you didn't get this.
Sure. Sure.
If Cat's Cradle is relevant, it's probably because this isn't relevant, because they're not going to happily sit around with 1 or 2 cards in hands if you do have hanging by a thread.
You can maybe surprise them with Cat's Cradle. Actually, earlier I was watching D play Eugenia practicing for this lesson, and it came up that nobody knows how Cat's Cradle even works because Queen of Hearts is so much scarier. But you can't surprise people with this. They know it's there. They're not going to go to low hand size if they can help it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Cat's Cradle is sometimes a mix-up surprise in the vein of mini grapplers, because it is another big dumb command grab. It can also sometimes just be inevitable, right? If your opponent only has 1 or 2 cards in hand, you might look at that discard pile and be like, oh, this opponent here doesn't have dive. Sun Immunity's pretty good,
Right.
I guess this guy has 1-inch punch, but asterisk.
Right.
If they have no answers to it, then yes, you can just kill them. Because if they only have 2 cards in hand, or some very small number of cards in hand, well, they don't have very many options. There's a decent chance that they, even if there is an answer left in their deck, depending on where the odds lie, you might be fine to just throw this.
Right. Okay.
I wanted to ask Zain about whether to finish going through the boosts.
Yeah.
How do you use these boosts, Zain? Or do you use them?
Yeah.
Because I know you talked about liking Arrow as an attack.
Yeah, I love Arrow as attack. I like the big problem is with both players drop to 4, then discard a card at random. As much as I love being able to be like, oh yeah, cool, your opponent can just discard a card at random or whatever. It's always one of my favorite type of discard effects.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't know what you're gonna get, and you could get something that just somebody really likes. It just kind of meh. Like this, I only ever really see it as as an attack. And if you're playing it because you need 4 cards, you've done something horribly wrong.
Yeah. So this highlights a common thread through most of this, which is that if you didn't land something big and dumb, you're not coming out really significantly ahead in resources. Like you can deprive your opponent of resources at the same rate that you spend them. It's hard to get a big advantage unless you are landing Color Spray or Queen of Hearts.
Right. And they have enough to worry about from those cards that, like, they're going to be playing around them. They're probably going to be hard to land.
Mm.
Yeah. So this boost is great that it will give you 4 cards, -1. But the opponent will usually also get 4 cards, -1. So it is. Yeah, I tend to agree. I seldom use it. When I use it, it's because they are already at a high hand size, and
they won't get the card draw.
They will get the card draw. It's just that it makes life awkward for them because you can't. It's hard to play neutral when you have more than 7 cards in hands, right? So my opponent has 7 cards in hand, and I boost this, and they say draw 4. Now they have 11. Discard 1. That's 10.
I completely I completely misread this. I read it as like Power of Order, the boost on Jin.
You thought it was draw until they have 4. No, sorry.
Up to 4 cards, as in until they have 4 cards. Yeah, no,
right.
you draw as many as 4 cards.
Yeah, let me clarify this. First, you choose a number between 0 and 4. Then you draw that many cards. Then you discard a random card. Then the opponent chooses a number between 0 and 4. Then they draw that many cards. Then they discard a random card.
Okay.
That is how this effect resolves.
Okay, and that really just isn't, most of the time, isn't worthwhile enough unless they're already at high hand size and you want to overload them with cards.
Yeah. So it's like you're at 1 card, maybe this is your last card, and they have a hand of 5 to 7 cards, and you go, okay, well, if they do this, it gives them if I do this, I get most of a hands. I reload. They overdraw and then have to figure out how to spend those resources to not be inefficient. It's still not great, but that is when I use it, if I ever use it. Yeah, right. I agree that I would rather usually play Arrow.
Okay, and when they overdraw like that, that card draw, I'm sorry, that eventual discard that they might have, they have to bleed some resources to stay below hand size. That isn't going to trigger this. I don't get any damage out of that, but that's options that they're getting rid of, and I'm a grappler, so I'm going to then be able to capitalize on that with some kind of mix-up.
Yeah, it's resources that they didn't use effectively or efficiently because they didn't really have the option. It's also entirely possible that it just allows it makes things look really scary for them if you are holding something like Queen of Hearts over them or Color Spray, where you go, yeah, sure, my Color Spray is incredibly unsafe because it doesn't have any defenses when my opponent has a hand size, but also it destroys everything that you care about in life.
Yeah, and you have 11 cards in hand now.
Yeah, so like again, seldom great because it is too balanced. You know, it's too symmetrical. You draw one more card because you draw at end of turn, and maybe you get some damage off the discard. But the use case for this, I will come to at the end of this, I think, which is not in anywhere in Zane's playstyle.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know. But so for this Eugenia that we're talking about right now, it's mostly just the attack that we're playing this for.
It definitely 100% mostly attack, and it's
Okay.
kind of the same thing with the off with their head. This one, if you're having to use it, you're in a horrible position that you don't want to be in either, where your opponent's at range 1, and then you're like, okay, cool, you gotta push. Your opponent could discard 2 cards at random or push 3. Now, granted, most of the time they're gonna push 3 because they just have the stuff to come back in and just be like,
99%
okay,
of the time.
cool.
Okay.
And now you're what gonna do? I guess nothing.
Yeah,
And
like this
it's
being good requires that you didn't want to be at range 1, and you had different ranged options in hand that weren't Wearlight because, like, you know, it pushes you to the range that it wants, but you just spent it.
You just spent Wearlight, sure.
And also that the opponent doesn't have an efficient way to come back in, and they almost certainly do.
Right. And like I have projectiles. I have things to do at range, but like here is my damage. Here's my damage too, and here's my damage too. But these yeah, sure. And many of my normals are gonna hit harder than these cards. All of these are melee range cards. So getting them out from range 1 is not that's not a win condition for me. That like Zain was saying, actually, that's what I'm going to do if I'm desperate to, for whatever reason, not be at range 1. If I'm up against Zangief, I'll play it.
Yeah, Zangief might take the discard. He might be one of the only characters who would do that.
Because it's just, oh, cool. I just discard 2 cards. Okay, cool. I'm just gonna keep pummeling you in the face.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So Zain, you're not really using this very often at all as a boost.
No.
For both of these attacks, so Zain, you mentioned that Absinthe and Arrow is an attack that you like quite a bit. Is it just like I'm looking at it? 2 damage is not a lot. It could be more because I could ping off of it. I mean, above curve at 4. Like this is a fast attack, right? This is an easy to confirm attack. Is that mostly why you're using it?
Yeah. It's mostly there just to be able to confirm. Basically to confirm some damage, and also just to be like, yeah, you're not stunning anything with this, but you're able to. Yeah, your opponent does draw a card, but you do discard 2 cards. You are able to ditch 2 cards at random.
Right,
So,
and that is a powerful effect.
Yes.
Yeah. Like 2 random discards, even though you're giving them a card first, is very strong.
Yeah.
Like if they had a small hand of powerful cards, this could destroy all that they had hopes to do.
That's something that's come up a couple times now. Actually, D, you've mentioned this, that like if my opponent has 7 cards, discarding 1, even if it's random, is like that might be amazing, but it might not be. If they have 1 or 2 cards, and as you said, they're holding on to 1 because they really wanted it. That's so much worse for them.
Oh yes.
So does she like put you in a vortex? Like is she like she gets you to low hand size and then she just keeps you there with effects like this? Is that kind of how she works?
Yeah, she's not quite that good at keeping you there, is the thing, which is why she has the execution, where she goes, okay, once my pressure slacks off a bit and the opponent starts to draw up again and get more cards in hand, great, thank you. That makes it so much easier to kill you. I really appreciate that. I have literally seen Zain take turns off to prepare when he had Queen of Hearts, just to try to get his opponent to prepare so that they would have more cards to take more damage. And it works.
Yeah. I'm greedy. I am very greedy.
I mean, you say you're greedy, but also like they need cards to fight you.
Yeah.
That is true, but like there is a point in time where there's I do think I get to a point at there are certain times where I do get to a point where I get super greedy, and playing as greedy as possible also means that I'm going to be very predictable.
Okay.
Yeah. when I kill Zain, when he's
Yeah.
playing Eugenia, it is often
Yeah.
because he's trying to do that kind of thing, and I, looking him in the face, just say, okay, I'll just wild swing into you.
Right.
Because as it turns out, especially if you're at range 1, I'm not that scared of anything you have when I'm initiating. Like, I guess I could wild swing my focus into your color spray, and that's probably the worst thing that could possibly happen.
Sure.
But like, you are below curve at 1, useless unless I wild swing cross. Pretty bad, although not strictly useless. This actually sometimes beats sweep depending on the board. And it
Sure,
does
yeah,
count
that's
cross.
true.
This is your premier cross catcher. If you actually think the opponent's going to play cross, it's
Right.
made for it. And then this is depending on exactly how many cards I had in hand, but ideally I have 3-ish. Very unsafe, and also can just be evaded by things like cross or dive, and might trade awkwardly if it trades at all.
Right. Right. Okay. So Zain, when you're saying that you're playing greedily, you're trying to confirm this
Yes.
or make as scary as possible your execution option.
Yeah.
D's counterplay is basically taking advantage of the fact that if you don't have this, you're like not great at range 1.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Okay.
That is 100%. Like, that
Okay.
is the 100% give and take that a lot of times just trading up and being like, cool, because if Eugenia's just trading the entire game, majority of the time, if she's not able to get any of her transforms up or anything like that, she's trading down half the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's
Her
a
printed
horrible
numbers are
position
not
to be
good.
in.
Right.
Yeah.
Power 2, power 2, power
Mhm.
3. Like,
Right. And
not impressive.
in fairness, 6, 9, maybe a little bit less, and then a lot, probably 10.
Yeah.
That's going to make it up. That's going to make up for it a lot. But
Oh,
if I
100%.
can't,
and then
100%
maybe
does.
everything at +2. But like, if you don't get this, and
Yep.
then you're not able to set these up,
yep, and
you're
and
just
no
not
way is this going to be able to make up for all of this.
No.
right.
If I don't have this, I'm not going to be able to do it. Okay, so my damage needs to come from confirming one of these big, huge hits and hopefully having this as well. If I can't get this, my opponent is just going to like better card me to death, right?
Yeah, I think that's about
Mhm.
right. Yeah, like your attacks are just not that impressive.
Okay.
They are useful for what you are doing in your overall game plan. I'm just trying to line it up. Sorry.
Yeah.
But like, this is where your value is. These 3 cards.
Okay. Okay.
With like a little bit of a side dish here, where you
Oh.
expect to get some procs of this. But I've won Eugenia games where I never revealed a card because I just never had one.
Right.
Like, you can still win those games.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you mentioned Queen of Hearts, Color Spray, Shimmer of Madness as being sort of my main value engines. Notably, not Cat's Cradle. Cat's Cradle is like firmly a second option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cat's Cradle either tends to be either the second option or even just the boost itself. If you watch a lot of my games, I tend to play just boost Edge of Insanity, and then just be like, okay, cool, I have time for tee up. Now, what are you gonna do? Are you able to get out of this loop? Which, granted, it's a very easy loop to get out of.
Right.
Yeah. If they feel like they need cards to do anything, then players will often be in the trap of going, okay, I'll prepare for one, or I guess I'll change cards from Gauge to get some hands. Then you play this, strip a card away. This is still in play. They
Right.
still feel like they need more cards, and they have no good options.
Right.
Like, this feels very much like you're trapped in something, and it's hard to get out of.
Right.
Which, brief counterplay note. The way to get out of it is to strike so that this stops being relevant.
This goes away. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, do not prepare for one card. In 95%, maybe more cases, that's just a mistake. You are letting Eugenia get a tempo advantage on you if you prepare and draw a total of 1 card.
Okay. So, but by striking, you strike from hand or you wild swing. Either way, you're not drawing at the end of your turn anyway.
Yeah.
You are.
It still helps there, but it's 1 turn of deficit
bleed.
instead of it's 1 turn of deficit, but and depending on what range and what you're striking with, you may in fact have an edge in the strike. I don't know, but it is preventing you from being locked down continuously, which is bad for morale, and also gives her more chances to ping you with this, right? So if you spend multiple turns getting hit by this, while also let's say you're a character who actually draws cards by some other means, right? Like you're Ken, right? If you every turn as Ken are using your ability to draw 2 because, hey, it's not preparing, Like,
Right.
look at that. I got around this thing. I'm not preparing. And then Eugenia is doing this every turn and is maintaining a stable hand size. Like, you're giving her time needlessly. You're giving her chances to deal damage to you needlessly. You're letting her rip away random options while she spins whatever her least valuable card is. Like, obviously do that if you need the cards, but yeah, my caution is against getting locked in the trap of this when you don't have some way to cheat past it. And then if you do cheat past it, you still just should try to make sure that you can play productively instead of turn after turn, draw cards, get hit, draw cards, get hit.
So really, I should be using this boost as a way to make my opponent strike into me when they'd really prefer not to.
Yeah.
Because they're at
And
a
that
low
is
hand
strictly-
size, they want to prepare, they can't prepare because of this. They don't want to attack, they feel uncomfortable attacking, and I have a good answer to whatever they're going to be doing.
Yep. At which point they strike. You hopefully win the strike if you're the Eugenia player. Maybe you play Color Spray because they don't have enough cards in hands to stun it. And now it's, your turn. They still have a low hand size. You can continue to throttle them.
Right, I see. Okay. And I mean, we didn't even mention this because I was so distracted by how terrifying this hit effect is. But if I don't get the hit effect, if they already have 2 or fewer cards in hand, this is just quote unquote stun immune sweep.
Yep.
Yes.
Stun immune sweep, maybe with 8 power.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I don't need. I'm not in a situation where if my opponent already has a low hand size, suddenly Color Spray isn't worth using anymore. It's still just sweep.
Yeah. And as it turns out, the fact that you have a sweep that often deals 2 extra damage and an extra sweep, and then you might be able to stack another 2 on top of each of those.
Right.
Goes a long way because sweep is a very good card.
Yeah. Okay. And like when we're talking about like where's my damage coming from, that on its own is like that could be 8, this could be 8. Oh, that's half my opponent's life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. It's not
Yeah.
actually very
Ping them
hard
a
for
couple
Eugenia to kill people if she can get things like that happening.
Yeah. Clobber them with a couple of good command grabs. Sweep, for this sake, is effectively a command grab because hers acts like it. It crushes slower things. Ping them a couple of times as they try to get out of your reach, and then kill them. Kill them dead.
Okay. Yep. That makes sense to me. The 2 cards that I'm still a little bit unsure about what I'm using them for. We mentioned Plot Hook briefly as a way to, like, it's something I can do at range. It's something I can pull my opponent into melee to do. Any other kind of use cases for Plot Hook that I should be aware of?
Yeah, so like for instance, like even just this position that you're in at range 1 against the character here, you can easily just try to hit this at range 1, and throw your opponent into 2, 3, 4, 5, over here away from you.
Okay.
Whereas like, all of a sudden it just lets other things that they might not be able to hit with, all of a sudden they're not able to either hit with or be able
at speed
to.
4.
Mhm.
Yeah, at speed 4, it outspeeds. Obviously, sweep is the big one here, but also a lot of mid speeds, a lot of command grabs, a lot of things that you might be afraid of at range 1 because you have some big command grabs, as I've said, but you're not a full grappler. You don't have a kit full of range 1 tools. So up against somebody who has some good range 1 stuff, you might decide that this turn we're going to go to range, and now that I have advantage, I'm going to just ping you a little bit.
Okay. And when they're at range, it's a great way to pull them close to hit with this or to hit with this or this. So it's a setup tool, basically.
Yeah. I would like to make a special note that I am a big fan of the stat line of EX Plot Hook as a projectile maneuver because a lot of people in the game have projectiles that will cover regular Plot Hook because it's not really a projectile. It's a cross counter.
Right.
And at 3 guard, a lot of things can beat that.
Yeah, Ryu
1
armor
armor
included.
Yeah, 1 armor, 4 guard at speed 5, much better. Covers Ryu and Ken Hadoken at that point.
Right. Oh, true. Yeah. Okay. So super consistent way to set the range that you want to play the rest of your hand. If you're already at the range you want, this card seems like it's kind of dead. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean that's the point at which it is particularly there to catch cross when the opponent is trying to change the range.
Sure.
But that's a read.
Okay. But so already, though, this is a very versatile card then. This is a way to set range. It's a way to get in close. It's a way to catch cross. We're already talking like 3 use cases. It's effectively a projectile. There's a lot of things going on here.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to change how the story plays out, you use a plot hook.
Okay. And then the other one that I'm a little bit still unsure on is Wearlight. So we talked about Off with Their Head as being like, we don't really care very much about this boost at all. It's something that we care about in a pinch. And I see you are
They're light.
Yeah. Okay.
They're light.
So they boost light.
No. It's just because it's called Wearlight.
Wear light. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm going way too hard trying to figure out Eugenia here.
I just mean light because it's called Wearlight. Anyway, please continue.
So we also obviously have Wear Fierce. We have Wear Run. All of the other boosts have their own cards. So what am I using Wearlight for?
Wearlight actually is a great card in your opening hand as well, because in your opening positions, it loses straight to dive,
right?
And that's kind of about it.
Yeah,
and you have an answer to dive.
Yeah.
They look at this and they don't play dive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay. So this is actually, because they're afraid to play dive, this is pretty consistent.
Yeah, it can be very consistent unless they call you out for it and been like, okay, cool, we know you're going to do the most unhinged thing possible. They'll probably cover it.
Right.
They can. Yeah, they cover it if they call it. It's relatively uncommon. It's not nearly as punishing in the same way, but it is shape-wise very much your spike. It is kind of going to hit in the middle ranges. It's going to lose against a lot of things that are faster than it. So it's particularly good at range 4 against somebody with projectiles, because then it's just a guarded projectile that trades. And that hit effect is fantastic. So if you happen to, at range 4, somebody thinks you're playing Absinthe and they just go, all right, I'll play block or focus, mitigate my loss. This effect is nasty because it's an extra sweep or an extra double sweep, depending on whether they want to show you their hand, which is a real nasty effect.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I mean, she's a season 2 character. I have a pretty prescribed way to punish hand information by just reading them.
And you should expect to play reading, because you have an attack that will show you their hand.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right. So, and that one's not optional. Shimmer of Madness. We didn't. I almost glossed over Shimmer of Madness's hit effect. God, all of her hit effects are really punishing. But hanging by a thread is such a big deal that I sort of glossed over that this also gives you hand information. Mm-hmm. So I've got readings on deck to punish known information, or they're going to discard all of their known normals, and hey, that's great for me too, because that's options that they can't use to stop all my stuff later.
Because there's also another thing you can do with Eugenia, because a lot of her effects are forced drawing. So you can actually deck out your opponent.
Yeah, you're not realistically going to cause them to run through the second deck.
No.
But this attack notably can mess up somebody who is timing their redraw, their first reshuffle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not the boost, because they can just choose not to, but the attack can force somebody to draw a card. If somebody is actually at 0 deck, hurt them, make them regret it.
This
also, each Ultra and Color Spray have the same property of the opponent can be forced to draw at times that are potentially awkward.
Huh. This is episode 114 of this series, and I think this is the first time I've come across the idea of drawing a card might be a bad thing. Huh.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
I mean, I've only done it I would say I probably have done it half a dozen times. No, I think I've only done it once. And it was against the character that was very heavy on. They went through the deck really, really quickly, and I was able to hit them with Absinthe, and they just died because they couldn't reshuffle again.
Okay, so just timing it so that they're timing their reshuffle to get out of a bad situation and get important cards back into your hand, and you're just no, stay here for one more turn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, interesting. That is some character main tech. That's some very, very deep cut tech. I like that.
Succeed.
Yeah.
It's kind of a common throughput to just generally the idea of I randomly discard a card from the opponent's hand. It attacks a resource, but also it attacks an option in a way that they couldn't have planned for, right? If whatever hand they have, whatever plans they'd made, whatever they were ready to do, whatever they prepared for, maybe in a literal sense, maybe not.
Right. I think we might have lost you, D.
Oh, that's strange.
whatever they are preparing for, perhaps in a literal sense, and then we lost you. Eugenia
sorry.
got you.
All right. Perhaps in a literal sense. Whatever they prepared for, perhaps in a literal sense. I'm assuming I'm audible now.
Oh yeah, we can hear you now.
Confirming. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
You can disrupt it. That was like the end of the thought is you can say, that Metsu Shoryuken you thought you had, you might not have.
Right.
It attacks a resource, but also it attacks an option, and that's important.
Okay. So from my opponent's perspective, it's like hard to be sure what my game plan is going to be against Eugenia because I don't have full control of my cards.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the idea that I'm constantly playing against sweep, and as anyone knows who has gotten hit by sweep enough times, sometimes sweep can mess up your plans. Like there's the age-old question of does assault beat sweep? Is well, if the sweep takes out the follow-up, then no. Otherwise, yes.
Right.
And Eugenia is constantly trying to take out whatever your next thing is.
Right. And you can play around sweep. It is possible if you really try hard to not get hit by sweep. You might die to other things. But you can't play around like all of these ways that she has to discard. You're going to lose options that you need to you're going to lose options and they might be important options.
Yeah. And depending on exactly where we're going, it might be all of them, or it might just be the one that she thinks is the most important. Like these effects are real nasty.
Right. Okay. And that's going to depend on the matchup, right? It's going to depend on the player, the matchup, the situation, and I'm going to capitalize on whatever they lose or whatever I make them lose, just in the moment. It sounds like.
Yeah. I'm just trying to characterize like the general reason that valuing. It's obviously I discard my opponent's cards at random. Is sounds like a thing that I want. It sounds great. I want my opponent to not have cards. I'm just trying to explain how much value that can provide and how dangerous it is to have to play into this.
Like I guess independent of the obvious value of, hey, now you have to worry about the specific effects that I have that care about number of cards in hand. Just losing those cards in general is really a very important thing that most characters in EC don't really attack. It's like a vector that isn't usually under threat.
Yeah, there's not a lot of discard-oriented characters, but she's one of the premier ones. You know, if at some point you randomly discard a grasp, then at some later point you hit with Shimmer and you go, oh, second grasp is now gone. Discard that, please. And they're going to die.
Right.
Because they have no more speed 7s to contest your queen, so they can't exit and they can't light on top of it and that sort of thing.
And they won't always lose the grasp, but sometimes they will. And when they aren't losing the grasp, they're losing something else that is a hole for, I don't know, now I can hit a spike. Now I can hit an assault uncontested. I can do something that is more free than it would otherwise have been.
Yep.
Weakens
their responses.
Okay. I think that makes a lot of sense. That actually, honestly, we're going back to the salt thing. That seems really annoying to have to deal with.
Yeah, it restrains their option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like I'm getting a decent sense of what the game plan is, and it sounds like it's kind of what I surmised earlier, but with a lot more nuance to it. That I'm depriving them of options, opening up holes, and then trying to hit with a couple of very key cards.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like the big overall game plan, is that pretty much correct?
I would think, yeah. I would think it would be about correct. Is basically making it to where your options are much safer than they actually do appear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You are, as I said, I characterize her as a half crop ever since I learned the term. Poke, backbreaker, backbreaker.
Right.
Poke. Like you will be using both sides of that. You know where your value is. It's not in the pokes.
Right.
Like you will be landing at least one of these 3 cards, and it will be devastating. And if you land 2 of them, you have probably killed them.
Okay, I see. So I've got a bunch of questions about the rest of the cards in her kit. I know, D, you have another thing that you want to talk about. There's a whole other Eugenia, it sounds like. Before that, though, Zain, I want to ask you about just like other like pieces of tech, other things that you do with this character that we haven't covered yet. That just like certain situations you're looking for, certain ways that you want to that certain plans that you're trying to make to to set up all of these cool things?
Okay. It's gonna be case by case basis. Like even for instance, you look at like a character like Zolt. Zolt, who is a very, very powerful card. If you know exactly what you're going for, with Zolt, which is I think is about Evil Eye, is the one you really want to get rid of Zolt. I believe. I think
Yeah,
that's what it's called.
let's go
So
grab
is
Zolt
is
really
the
quick.
attack with the transformation
Yeah.
that you're thinking of, I think.
Is that the one I'm thinking of here? Because I know there's something I'm thinking of here. And I'm
The
like,
attack, the infamous attack shape is Evil Eye. The infamous transformation is on cross up.
oh, it's on cross.
Oh,
That's right.
I know that. Yeah, I know this one.
Yeah. So one of the big things you want to do is Zolt wants to get this up as quickly as possible. Well, you know exactly what Zolt's trying to do, so you're just gonna parry the cross up, even if you do not have a range speed 6 in hand. I value getting that cross up as quickly out of his hand as quickly as possible. That way, I don't have to deal with it the rest of the game.
Okay, so you might not necessarily care about getting rid of the card in order to ping, but getting rid of this is important enough. And if you do ping, awesome. That's like a cool bonus.
And again, that's gonna change by character to character basis. Zolt's the one I actually remember the most because D and I went over this character I don't know how many times.
We did this match a lot.
Way too many. Way too many.
Yeah, I will come back to something that you referenced earlier. It is important to remember that you might not want to reveal at certain times, most commonly because you are holding a normal you don't want your opponent to know, but it's okay to give up the damage if you think you can manipulate your opponent. So something that I've done, I think only once or twice playing Eugenia, but using Shimmer, I discarded something and then didn't reveal because I anticipated that then, so notably, I discarded a speed 6 when they had EX Cross. I didn't reveal anything. They struck with cross and I responded with EX Cross. Which, of course, I couldn't have possibly had. Why would I not have revealed a speed 6?
Why would you not?
I wanted him to play their cross.
Right. I see. Okay, so
those situations are relatively uncommon, but keep in mind, this is not a forced effect. Always say, I choose not to if you don't. Don't say I don't have any.
Which is reasons why, like, this is honestly the big reasons why that you'll, especially if I'm playing against D, I take a random card out of his hand and be like, choose not to, no reveal.
No matter what character is playing. It's just, it's a Eugenia habit, right?
So like you're playing 9 or something, and you throw a sweep and you just still say that?
Yeah, there are times I just do it just because I think it's funny.
That's really funny.
But yeah, but as Eugenia, you should legitimately be in the habit of thinking of it as I choose not to or I choose to, regardless of whether you actually have the option. Don't give the information away for free. And, think about it for at least a half a second. Like, give it a moment to decide if it's actually correct to reveal. Usually will be, but not necessarily always.
Okay, that makes sense. Any other kind of like high-level strategic notes or pieces of tech, or should we move on?
I don't think there's really any other high level of tech that I can honestly think of. The only other tech I was thinking of before, especially because I gave it away relatively early, was the reading into color spray.
Yeah.
It is one of my personal favorites because when it hits, it's really good, and then when it doesn't hit, you're just sad, and there's no in between.
Okay.
It's honestly most of the readings, like you're gonna take a really huge gamble, and that gamble may work correctly, but also even if you're reading Assault into that, you can actually just play Wearlight or even play Absinthe into it just to be like get that option out of their hand too.
Right.
So mix it up.
So the reading color spray is is like the haymaker. It's the biggest play that you've got. But as Dee mentioned a while ago, like at range 4 in particular, your whole kit does beat reading. If you whiff the reading, it doesn't really reveal very much about what you're actually intending to hit.
Yeah, it beats Assault. Yeah. Assault is also
Assault.
Kind of an annoying attack, right? If the opponent initiates at range 3, then none of your kit beats Assaults, unless they don't have enough cards to run Color Spray. So it is a card you're often happy to see disappear. And also you might incidentally cause them to concede because you hit them with Color Spray.
You hit them with Color Spray, okay.
That's happened a couple of times.
I've heard, so Zain, before I've ever had a conversation with you, I have heard stories of the Zain reading. This is like a thing that you are known for really enjoying doing, and I can see why. It sounds like a really good time, frankly.
Oh, it is a fantastic time. As it said, like most of the readings, it's a Hail Mary play, and when the Hail Mary works, you're happy. You're like, yeah, we did it. But when it doesn't work, it's like, well, but what if it did?
What if it did though?
It could have 3 times in the last like 3 days as I've been playing Eugenia games, brushing up.
Oh no!
On turn 1, I reading and play something, and then like after a few turns later, the opponent's like, "Yeah, I was really surprised you did that. So that seemed weird." And I'm like, "I'm doing a lesson with Zain, guys." And I'm like, "Oh,
I see.
okay,
That makes
all
sense.
That actually makes sense. That's the reasons why, like, especially people that know how to play against me, they have a tendency to
throw
be
away
like,
your assaults."
yeah, yeah. They throw away the assault immediately. And then, granted, it's happened to me a couple of times, even to someone like even DePolter, where they threw away the assault, but they got the assault right back.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. No, they throw it away. They change cards, and then they draw at the end of the turn. They can't control that. They
Yeah.
just happen to get it. You reading them anyway.
Oh no! Literally, like in their mulligan, they throw it away, and then they just get it back in their hand.
That rules.
Yeah. I will note, if you still want readings and backbreakers and things, it is also perfectly fine to be hanging out at range 1, reading Spike, and play whatever you want.
Yep.
Well, okay, don't reading Spike and play Plot Hook.
Probably
Yeah,
a bad idea.
Not a good, not a great time.
Right.
I've done this and I regretted it. Be
I've
cognizant of how
also done that before too.
Yeah. Well, you do it a few times and you go, oh right, Plot Hook pulls. But generally speaking, it is perfectly fine to reading. The nice thing about reading is that if it goes off, it forces something out of their hand that you presumably didn't want them to have for later.
Right.
And if it doesn't, you get hand info, which you either have a second reading, or you have parry, or you just are a half grappler. You see their hand and you go, oh, they don't have anything that beats Color Spray now. Time to dig in. Like that, this is great.
Right. Yeah, this is something that's come up in previous lessons when we're talking about grapplers D, where like if you can get rid of both of their grasps in their deck, that's great. You're feeling great about that because it opens up a mix up. It turns a mix up into a guarantee. But if you can just make sure that their hand doesn't have any grasps, that's almost as good.
Almost as good.
So you're happy with that as well. It's like it's local disruption versus like global disruption. Okay. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to ask about was actually moving on to the normals. Before we do though, did you want to talk about your other Eugenia line?
Well, that's a
Normals?
different character. Let's talk about normals.
Okay, sure. So obviously, I'm like looking at these a lot of times. Like we have. Oops.
The king of the normals.
Yeah, we have sweep and sweep again. And we don't really seem to have very much else that even looks very much like other normals. Among our specials and ultras, we don't really seem to have very much redundancy with normals. Is what I mean.
The closest is this, and it's not very close.
Wear Light and Spike, and there's a fair amount of stuff that's quite different about these two cards, I think. So, first of all, what am I using my normals for in my game? Both attacks and boost, if we just want to like kind of go through those very briefly.
Okay, yeah, we can go through these here. +2 power is still great on Grasp for Fierce. Fierce is you get your +2 power somewhere, and this can allow you to get that +2 power. Also, it's great at range 1. Now, granted, don't be stupid. Like me, I've accidentally put this from hand and set Grasp in hand at range 2 and been like, aha! And realized, oh, I just threw as hard as possible.
Yeah, if you're looking between these and you're like, okay, I want to play the Shimmer, but I don't want to waste it. Okay, I'll play this other fast thing. Check your range. Assuming that you are playing at a range where you can hit, it's still reasonable to play the Grasp first because you expect them to respond with Grasp because, of course, you're going to play Shimmer.
Is what they're afraid of is Shimmer of Madness. So I have like a built-in mix-up right here. Okay.
Yeah, Grasp just provides the fast part of your range 1 mix-up in particular.
Right. Is there anything in particular that I'm going to... Like, are there any particular cards that go particularly well with Fierce in my kit?
With Fierce, it's kind of almost everything. It
just
gives you your
specifically if you have your ability and then potentially these numbers get silly because Absent the Narrow with Fierce is potentially 8 power. Take a moment and look at this attack and think whether it deserves to be 8 power.
Yeah, okay.
Because
a 5 speed projectile. Yeah, okay, with that many sources of power. Like D, I was watching you play Eugenia earlier today and a little bit yesterday, and I saw like Queen of Hearts hit for 10, and I saw the color spray thing. I think that I am kind of underestimating how big a deal hanging by a thread is. That like this turns everything into haymakers, kind of.
Yes.
Basically, it just makes everything work to the point where it's like you're actually a character that can be very menacing.
Right.
Because honestly, like truly, if you're behind at all during the game, you are probably more than likely going to lose.
Yeah,
Okay.
like you need to be making the damage up by getting. Well, sorry, if you're behind in life, but you are getting value in terms of your transformation, or in terms of building 3 gauge, that's okay. That you're not really behind. If you're behind on life and you haven't made progress by hitting these, you're gonna have a rough time coming back.
Okay.
Right.
That
Like
makes sense.
you don't have a lot of comeback potential unless you are getting this transform and or setting up to land something massive.
Right. Right. I got to get my damage from somewhere. It might be. It's going to be helpful from here, but if I can't get this, then I really am behind. If I'm behind on life.
Yeah, that's actually honestly the big reasons why hanging by a thread. It is in my opening hand. It is the one that'll be like, okay, I'm gonna hard mull for this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So mulligan everything but it. Hope for the EX transform and just get it into play as soon as possible.
Or even just literally just what is it? Change cards X and then try to get through that as well.
Just keep on digging until I can get to it.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
It's justifiable. It's incredibly valuable.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I feel like deceptively valuable. I think I'm undervaluing it for sure. So we got Grasp. Both sides of this card, it sounds like we're going to get good use out of. We got a built-in mix-up, but also just power on top of power is crazy.
Oh, yeah. And then you also are able to move your opponent where you want them, not where they want to be.
Right.
Or you can choose where you'd be like, yeah.
Sometimes to range too, so that you can be threatening Shimmer, you know.
Unless they have Spike, then don't make that mistake again.
I'll play Shimmer to Spike. It's fine. I love losing Spike.
Oh yeah, no, Spike is great.
Yeah, I mean, I was actually going to be. I was kind of confused, D, when you said the thing with plot hook and Spike. This actually sounds completely fine for you. This is just another way to lose the Spike.
Yeah, I will do this so that I lose the Spike.
Right.
No one else is beholden to my play patterns. You do not have to lose the Spike.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. Let's just keep going through the normals. Tell me about any particular use cases. I guess the other thing that the other way that I should ask this question is like, like every character is going to use their normals, and they're going to use them in, like, for lack of a better term, a normal way, right? Is there anything that Eugenia is doing that is special with her normals, or particularly Eugenia like?
I mean, to be honest with you, most of the time she's just going to be using her normals like I would think most every other character, except for Sweep. Sweep is the most Eugenia-like card of all, because it goes from, oh yeah, cool, you trade with Sweep. No, you don't. I was able to get a card out of your hand, and you now take 8, please.
Right.
And this means that for many characters, Sweep is a card that they are okay with playing defensively. You would prefer to initiate.
Okay.
You care about winning that speed tie.
That speed tie actually matters. It's now just a really safe mid speed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But other than that, my normals are pretty much going to be used like any other character would use them.
Yeah, like Assault is going to get you into into Queen.
But most characters don't have this good a reward.
Right. Yeah. Right. That's fair. Okay. And because I'm at range 3, I'm obviously throwing the Assault to get Queen of Hearts online. That means Spike's a great mix-up, just like it is for every grappler.
Like for every character, and every grappler especially, yeah.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. And Zain, you already mentioned that reading is your favorite play in the world. Will you also just occasionally play the focus, or are you addicted to this rush?
I will actually play the focus if I need to be a little bit less aggressive.
Okay.
I have done it from time to time. Now, granted, I see it in my hand. I hear the devil on my shoulder telling me, "You need the reading. Just read." And then I realize, oh yeah, if I play this, I don't know how to read.
As any card game player.
Of course.
But a lot of times, especially if you are like early game, I will try to use reading. Now, granted, I can play safe. It is the most boring way of playing Exceed. But sometimes playing safe actually means that you actually win games.
Right.
So,
right.
which honestly is an actual mix-up against most players that know how I tend to play. So if I'm playing safe, all of a sudden it's going against what you're expecting, and then now I can throw you off kilter.
Multi-set conditioning. So, all right. So the advice everyone watching is create your own really specific playstyle and then just switch it up on people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean
Got it.
that is the same as for every grappler is just make sure you represent every side of your mix-ups sometimes.
Sure.
Just do it in a macro sense.
Right. Right. Yeah. Make sure that your opponent can't take anything for granted. Okay.
Yeah.
I think
And
that
then
makes sense.
block is still block because it can get you out of a bind that you're about to eat a lot of damage, and you don't eat that damage, and you're able to stay alive for one more turn. That allows you to just be like, okay, cool. Now I'm gonna play my queen, or I'm gonna play some of my
Block is a
big
very
dumb
valuable
attacks.
source of gauge
Yeah.
because gauge is good and you have transformations. So
Right.
Oh yeah, and it's automatic gauge most of the time.
yeah.
Right. Sure. Okay. So that's our normals. That seems pretty straightforward. The other big question that I had was actually about economy, and I'm glad, D, that you mentioned gauge just now. So I have this is the most obvious gauge payout of all time. I heard D mention earlier that I got nothing from movement. And it doesn't really seem like I have very much. I guess I kind of have card draw in a couple places, but it's very weird card draw, and I'm not sure I want it. Am I sometimes just using force from gauge to move around?
There sometimes you can. Now, granted, every time you use a force from gauge, that is one less. That means your opponent knows that queen isn't up or cradle isn't up.
Right.
Some of your really big dumb attacks aren't up. I prefer to use gauge. I honestly tend to prefer to use stuff from hand.
Okay.
Versus gauge, because I want to conserve that for the queen and for the cat's cradle, to where it's like now you don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
Or
Right.
kind of roughly know what I'm doing because you've seen cards go from a hand and then come back from a hand.
Right. But
Yeah,
they know what to be afraid of because you're keeping yourself at 3
Yeah.
gauge at least.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, I will mostly just prepare. Prepare is probably one of the bigger actions I tend to do. I don't usually try to get rid of cards in hand, unless it's a range right now that I'm like, oh, I just can't do anything. Or if I have Wearlight in hand at range 1, at range 1, or absent that range 1, I'm like, well, all this is really bad. I'm just gonna get rid of them just to get 2 other cards that
Right.
Yeah.
potentially draw.
So prepare is useful for maintaining your economy because in large part, if I'm understanding you right, at what range exactly are you not allowed to engage with your opponent? You have plenty of range 1, you have range 2, you have range 3, you have range 4, you have range 5, you have range 6.
Right.
At any of those ranges, you can prepare and still say, I have viable tools here.
Right.
Unless your opponent has dominant tools that you can't looking at you, Ryu, that you can't contest at whatever range you're at, notably 6 in this case, then you can be like, all right, I still can hit my opponent and they can't hit me, or at least they can't safely hit me, depending on whether you're at close ranges or not.
Right.
So, regain your footing, rebuild your economy, catch your breath. You don't really have great tools to do it, so yeah, you're often going to be forced to take the prepare action there.
Right. And so my question about movement, this is coming from DU mentioning that I just don't have very many movement tools, but I have so much flexibility in my hitboxes that in some cases, my exact hand contents, depending, it might not matter. I might just be able to play from where I'm at decently well.
You will very often have some ability to play from where you're at, and then because you have that, you can either use that to buy time to draw cards, to spins, to move in, to kill.
Right.
Or let your opponent try to do something that changes the board state, and you get to respond. You sadly don't have grappler movement. You're not blessed with any kind of in-strike positioning, except for the questionable,
hook. Right.
plot hook positioning. But that is often how you will end a range standoff, where both of you are staring at each other with viable tools, but nothing you really want to play.
Okay.
Is you can plot hook in and say, okay, well, we're at range 5. Now we're not.
Right. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think, D, when I was watching you sharpen up with Eugenia earlier in one of the games, you were here seemingly forever. You were just brawling. I wasn't against Ryu, but you were just brawling at range 1 in the corner. Was that because you couldn't get out, or was that just because you were trying to confirm something in the corner and you didn't really care?
I mean, it was I couldn't get out without, or rather, I didn't feel it was worth it to get out. Right. So it's like, all right, I can pay force to move out of the corner if I feel like being in the corner is a huge problem.
Right.
I am sufficiently competent at range 1. I love plot hook when I'm in the corner.
Right.
I think
I saw you throw this in the corner. Actually, that's actually where I was going next. So that's good to know.
Yeah, I love doing that because it's just going to work.
Right.
I might trade down against a slower thing, but that's okay. It's fine. It builds gauge at the very least. Because if I need to build a 3 gauge, right? Like if I can brawl for a bit in the corner, hit with plot hook, add it to gauge, lovely. I'm set up to just murder my opponent with Queen of Hearts, or
Right.
if they very difficult to evade Cat's Cradle, depending if they have cross. But it may also have been just like, yeah, actually getting out of the corner is really tough. If I want to uncorner myself, it's going to be run or off with their head, and the opponent will just come back in. It's really not going to buy me more than a turn if I use that in most cases.
Right. Okay. So it's a real weakness that I might just not be able to get out of the corner, but also I'm like okay enough against some characters, at least at range 1, in some situations that I might not it might not matter to me enough to get out in the first place.
Yeah, like depending on how many cards they have, Color Spray is either a very threatening command grab or just another sweep. You have Plot Hook. You have a Shimmer that they don't want you to hit. And these are complemented by just pathing normals.
Pretty good normals that might have bonus power if their hand is
yeah.
But like everyone
everyone in Exceed can play at range 1 to some extent, at 1 to 3, because the normals work at 1 to 3.
Right.
And you have a non-zero amount of special utility, which is often enough to say, this is not urgent. I just don't want it to last forever. It will end either when I draw my cross or when my opponent dies because I played Queen of Hearts.
Yeah, and I think both happened in the games that I was watching. Okay, that makes sense. So it's a little bit of a weakness, a little bit of a strength. Okay. So
yeah, it's a weakness, not a serious one.
Yeah, that makes sense. So we talked economy. Are there any, like, if I do need to spend force, if I need to change cards or move or something, are there any cards that are like obvious force targets that I'm okay to spend?
1 copy of Queen and Wearlight are my answers. Zain, what are your preferred? Oh, and of course,
so my preferred, it tends to be any of the a lot of the normals, because most of the time you're literally just using them. If you're using Time for Tea, get rid of the normals out of your hand.
You reveal them for your ability.
Yeah.
Get rid of them.
Then you just get rid of them, and then you're like, okay, cool. Now what? Now what are you gonna read? But it's also like Queen. Honestly, most of your ultras, you can use them to get out of a bad situation by getting card draw, because it is still two cards.
Two force.
Two
sure.
force.
Yeah,
force,
two,
yeah.
My bad. Yeah, two.
Yeah.
It's still 2 force.
Just
So,
don't spend your
second
hurt. Queen unless you're about to reshuffle.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Which it does hurt losing. Like Queen is probably the one that hurts the most losing. Cat's Cradle is kind of whatever. It's either like just be like, okay, cool, they're just gonna prepare or whatever they're gonna do. All right, cool. I'm just gonna change cards this and get it out of my hand and be like,
it's less fun to change cards than Boost Edge of Insanity. But if I've got 2 cards in hand and one of them is this, it's probably way better to change cards than it is to boost it or to prepare. Because I'm not going to get value off of my ability. I might as well boost it.
Yeah, then it also
change cards rather.
Yeah, it also depends on where I'm at too. Like Wearlight and Absinthe are one of the ones I will actually use a lot to
at close range.
At close range, yeah.
These are awful.
Yeah,
right.
It's just like,
the second Shimmer is not great, although I do still love the hand info. But once you landed a Shimmer and have it transforms, the second one is
kind of just dead.
The second one's a very underwhelming attack.
Yeah.
And when I'm so the advice that we just gave was to don't get rid of my second copy of Queen of Hearts. Like that's the number one thing.
Yes.
The other considerations, like obviously like keep my mix-ups live, all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not like trying to maintain cards of different speed values to try to get this ability. That's like not as big a concern, it sounds like.
No.
Honestly, all else being equal, but it's an all else being equal thing.
Right. Okay. If there's anything else that is more important to me in that moment, I should do that, and it'll be an upside if I can get it.
Yeah.
Okay. If my hand is like Spike, Wearlight, Dive, Assault, Cross, I'm still, and we're at range 1, I'm still likelier to throw away. Wait, hold on. Those all have different speeds. Let me try again. Spike and Wearlight have the same speed. There we go. Yeah. So Spike, Wearlight, Cross Grasp. At range 1, I'm still going to throw away Spike and Wearlight first, even though that's 2 of the same speed, and like, why wouldn't I prefer to do something else?
Sure.
If I'm holding X Assault while I'm me, of course I'm going to keep the X Assault. But it's like I would rather all else being equal, yeah, keep a speed spread. Especially if you can keep it among specials instead of normals.
Okay.
This is just the general principle of it's easier for your opponent to predict what you're doing if you are consistently doing these. And if your opponent has reading, that can ruin your day.
Right. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah. It sounds like because of like I've heard both of you guys mention a couple times like different ways to be make yourself reading immune. Is it just because you're revealing cards as part of your ability and you really need to be careful of reading?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. And then I guess the other thing economically, it sounds like even if I'm not like prioritizing this ability, like having a big hand means I'm more likely to proc it. So I'm incentivized to have a big hand anyway.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, most of the time, even when like procking it, there's been plenty of times where I literally do not have the card in hand. Definitely. Like I have nothing I can do. It's like every other speed I have, and I just don't have that one speed, and I'm like, well, right. We move on. But my opponent doesn't know that.
Yeah, yes. Maybe I'm bluffing. Sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. So that's economy. We got normals, we got specials, we got ultras, transforms, boost. We've talked about all of the cards in the kit, except for one over here that I'm super curious about. D, shall we talk about the other Eugenia?
All right, so let's move on to the second lesson for today.
Great. All right, let me start recording. I'll do the disclaimer, and we'll get into it.
We talked about Eugenia.
Okay.
Let's talk a little bit about the Cheshire Cat.
Okay.
All right. So Eugenia has an exceed mode. This is a little known fact. It is somewhat contentious, in fact. I believe I can state that scientists have proven this at long last.
Yep.
When you exceed, you put your Wonderland into play, which is this card here. It doesn't go on the board or anything. It's just like exists. It previously didn't exist. Now you have it. I think in real life, it has a card back. This is not the real life card back, unless you're Zain.
Oh, do you have custom card backs? That rules.
I actually have the Eugenia card backs. All of the characters that I actually main are all running the Eugenia card back.
That's sick.
Anyway, but yes, so it starts as nothing. It flips when you activate exceed mode. All right, and for the moment, you have no ability. It just says when you cause the opponent to discard one or more cards, you may put one in your Wonderlands.
Okay.
So you don't have a +2 damage on lots and lots of things.
Right.
That extra bit of chip damage that you're dealing consistently that might help you break guard, it's not there anymore.
Okay.
This is like the main reason that folks do not use her exceed mode very much. Well, sorry, one of the two reasons. The other reason is it costs a turn.
Sure.
Turns are precious. Make no mistake. But as much as I like turns, and I do like them an awful lot, I also like stats. So discard any cards here for adding a new card. In other words, you can only have one card here at a time.
Okay.
You may strike with the card here, and if you do, you have +1 power and +1 speed.
Okay.
So, at the cost of, I took one of my opponent's cards away. I can now strike without spending any cards to gain +1 power and +1 speed. Huh. That interesting. So the part of this that was bad for me. Huh. Yeah. So what's the downside? All right. So insofar as this has a weakness, the weakness is that you don't know what card you're discarding, but you do know before you choose whether or not to use it.
Right.
So whatever you rip away from your opponent's hand from any random discard effect, you look at the set of things that you discarded, whether you discarded one or more cards, for example, 2 with Absinthe, or if you boost We're All Mad here, both players draw a bunch, discard one random, take a look at that card, decide, oh yeah, I do in fact like your range 1 Sure You Can. Let me just put that over here, and now you know that I have a range 1 speed 8 power 5. Well, okay, based on your stat line. It's particularly notable for things like normals, where this +1/+1 beats their grasp if they have the other copy. Cross with extra speed and power is faster than just about everything. Will get you to range, let you deploy some of your ranged pokes to try to finish the opponent off. Most devastating in general is after you exceed, you've given your opponent one free turn. Please be aware of this. That is important. And then using usually this, sometimes this. You get a card out of their hand without really costing yourself anything important. You maybe reload your own hand, or you just, put this into play and draw for in a turn.
Right.
And they lose something. You look at that something, and depending on how the game has been going and exactly what state you were in, it's one of their few options left, probably, because they were pretty low because you're playing Eugenia.
Sure.
Or it's something that they wanted to have at the current range, because otherwise they would have used it for something else by now. Which means it's likelier to be relevant than not. It will now sit in your Wonderland until you decide to use it or until you replace it with a different card. So it turns your discard effects from things that generate extra value by letting you deal more damage into things which make it easier for you to cleanly win a strike. Because you can take whatever your opponent's best cards are and use them. How important this is surprisingly matchup agnostic in that basically everybody doesn't like to have their cards used against them with +1 power and +1 speed.
Yeah, I mean that that's the more relevant stats of an EX attack. That's already just very good stuff.
Yeah. It is awkward in cases where the opponents have things like critical, where you don't have that. You cannot critical your attacks. You're not a Street Fighter character.
I was about to ask, okay.
Yeah. But still, most printed stat lines are made significantly better with this +1/+1, and most criticals will have a hard time competing with that if they happen to have the other copy, noting that you stole one already.
Right. Okay. So I have a way to just hold this threat over my opponent's head for as long as I need it until I need it, and then I can deploy it, and they're extremely sad, presumably. Is this, when I strike with it, is this implicitly face up because they know that I'm striking from my Wonderland?
Yes.
Okay.
Which often means that you're going to strike with it on defense.
I was about to ask.
But may in fact mean that you will initiate with it because you looked at the stats, you looked at what your opponent had left, and you said, oh, if I strike with this initiating, it just wins because they have nothing left that can possibly contest, donkey kick from here.
Sure.
Because what does? It's speed 5, power 7, 4 guard, range 1 to 2.
That's that's a very good card.
Yeah. Now, obviously, I'm picking out one of Ryu's best specials, like one of his heaviest chunks of stats anywhere.
Right.
But that is kind of the idea, is like, whatever this is, you can look at it and go like, oh, I stole their block. Well, okay. At some point, that's an extra block that'll go to my gauge.
Right.
Oh, I stole their, dive at range 1. Okay, I don't necessarily care about that. But maybe at some point we'll end up at range 3, and then it's really good.
Right.
Or I can just not use it.
Or later on, I will, by playing Eugenia, have forced them to discard another card at some point, and I'd have something better in my Wonderlands, and I'm just able to play it then.
Yeah. The most crushing way that this plays out is when you say, I'm going to look at your hand and take what I want.
Right.
Because now I know your entire hand, so I can pick whatever works against the rest of your hand with +1/+1. Or when you look at their hand and you take what you want.
Right.
Because they just discarded all of them, so you get to pick one.
Right.
Now, if you landed Queen, they're probably dead anyway. But this gives a really useful use case for the second Shimmer. I think I made reference to that earlier, where I was like, yeah, often your second Shimmer is really underwhelming. But in Exceed mode, Shimmer is a parry that you don't have to know in advance what you want to parry. It says, I'm going to take something from you, and now it's mine, and it has better stats when I need it.
Right.
By the way, you can absolutely steal ultras with this. No reason you can't.
Okay, that's a really good point. Yeah, okay. So, and the way that this works, it's not like execute an attack like it is on Zolt. I'm playing it. I'm striking with it. I do have to pay.
You have to pay the cost. But in the event that you didn't kill them with Queen, in the event that you don't have Queen, in the event that Queen wasn't enough, any of those things, or if you just somehow manage to actually have enough gauge to play their ultra and yours, which is not impossible. Some characters have very affordable ultras. There are some 1 gauge ultras out there. There's some 2 gauge ultras out there that are some of the least fair attacks in Exceed.
Sure.
You can go, oh, that's a nice ultra that you had in your hand that I will take. By the time you get to this, like by the time this is an option for you, because you probably have 3 transformations, because let's be real, we've talked about how good this is. You're not going to spend 2 gauge to Exceed.
Right. And this is a 6 gauge Exceed cost. You really do want all of your transformations. This is even more expensive than most 7th Cross characters.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And just to make this mechanic explicit for posterity, right? Each of these that is in play reduces your Exceed cost by 2. So you start at 6. With 1, you're at 4. With 2, you're at 2. With 3, it's free. So you just spend an action to Exceed. Right. And that is the price that this is worth. You don't want to spend Gauge because Gauge makes it harder to play Queen of Hearts or your opponent's Ultras. But yeah, by the time this is online, it's late enough in the game that the ability to say I'm going to win a strike cleanly because I have this stat edge you can't compare against is extremely valuable because it can close the game. It's also the point at which you're likeliest to have some knowledge about what's in the opponent's hand because they are thin on options because they've been discarding cards all bloody game.
Because you're Eugenia.
Because you're Eugenia.
Right.
Everyone does to some extent, but they really do against you. So you can use that to parry out something that you specifically want to steal, even if you don't have access to Shimmer. So this is actually like the control Eugenia, in my opinion, even though it is not nearly so defensive and not nearly so annoying as the Time for Tea playstyle that is, I think, a bit more popular when people want to play control and annoy their opponents. Which, by the way, are not the same thing. I know control players who don't like to annoy their opponents.
Yeah, definitely. There's strong overlap, but not necessarily full commonality between those two ideas. Okay.
I'm a control player who wants to annoy my opponents. Zain is not a control player, but he does want to annoy his opponents.
He does want to annoy his opponents. Yeah, it's like a Punnett square.
Every corner of the Punnett square is there. Yeah.
I am neither a control player, and nor do I want to annoy my opponent. Yeah, I feel like we represent a lot of different. Diversity is important, D.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
All right.
So in terms of like practicality with this, like this is a separate character. You mentioned that most people most of the time do not play this Eugenia. Is this something that you are noting as being an option so that I know that it's available, or is this your Eugenia line?
It is something that I really, really like. The main constraints on it is that I need to have one of these and usually Cat's Cradle in hand ready to use. Because when I exceed, my Wonderland's going to be empty, and if my Wonderland's empty, I'm not playing Cheshire Cat yet. I need to come online immediately. So, like, that means I need to have 3 transformations, one of these in hand, usually this one. And I say that because I've usually already used both of these as attacks, probably.
Sure.
And then I need to be confident that I won't regret giving my opponent one free turn to do whatever they want.
Right.
And that last part is pretty hard.
Right.
That's a doozy.
And also, like, this is not a problem, but you also need to not have killed your opponent with Queen of Hearts already.
Sure. Yeah.
And people only have 30 life and exceed, and that's a real concern.
Yeah, like you basically need to have not hit with color spray in order for them to have enough life for this to be a thing that comes up.
Right. Okay. So if you don't have either of these, but you do have the Time for Tea as a transform, can you just throw a force and get something in your Wonderland that way?
Yes, but it's terrible. You should instead parry, or just hit with an attack.
Right.
So this has the due to playtest stories, this prevents you from drawing an end turn if you're in Exceed mode, so that you can't just say, all right, I basically discard 1, draw 1, and you lose a valuable card that I can now play with better stats.
Right.
It's really obnoxious. You will instead not draw it in a turn, so it actually will drain you of resources. Almost never worth it. If you have nothing else, which is going to happen in this case, you exceed and then your opponent parries this.
Sure.
Right. That's how that happens because obviously you had it. You certainly didn't exceed without it, or at least without it, and without one of these. Excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah. One of these 4 things. Anyway, I guess sweep is fine too. But sweep is always fine. Anyway, whatever it is that you had that you plan to use to discard their card that you could put in Wonderland, they then got rid of on their turn. Now, okay, fine. Use it once.
Right.
Don't use it again.
Just to get something in your Wonderland. And honestly, this like having the option to get something into your Wonderland right away, having the card that can do that doesn't sound as difficult a requirement to fulfill as you got all your transforms, you didn't kill with Queen of Hearts. You are like set up ready to do this. That seems like there are that you can afford the turn loss. There are a lot of different conditions that need to be required to make this happen.
Yes, like I think it's very strong, but I think like for pretty good reason, it is a winding road to actually get there in any given game.
Okay,
and it's not your plan A. It is where you check and see if you're going to go once you realize you're on the road.
Okay. And coming back, Zain, for your play style with Eugenia, have you ever exceeded as part of have you ever exceeded as part of a game you were trying to win? Let's put it that way.
The only time I've really exceeded with trying to win was basically my opponent was so far down that it was just they were already going to lose anyways.
Okay, you were kind of stunting on him at that point.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was me styling and just being like, granted, I do not admit to, styling is not exactly the fun thing to do. Now, granted, but it was funny at the time, and I still stand by the fact that it was still really funny. Now, granted, it was against a newer player, so it's like, probably not the best
Right.
to do that.
Right, and you've played a huge amount of Eugenia and have not found the need for this line. D, you've also played a lot of Eugenia. I saw you play quite a bit of Eugenia in the last couple days.
Yep.
This is something that you've done in a game you're trying to win.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it and had it be the thing that won me the game because turns out this
is really strong. Okay, so it is possible. It's something that we need to know is an option and know how to set it up and what conditions we need to do to set it up. But it's probably not going to be our first line of defense as Eugenia.
Yeah.
Okay.
For a proper and complete understanding of Eugenia, you should know that this exists and how to use it and what it's good for. Because if nothing else, we did mention like your attacks are pretty underwhelming. If your attacks are worse than your opponent's attacks, cool. Use their attack instead.
Use their attacks because they're better than yours. Okay.
Yeah.
This is more of a bookkeeping note, but I've been curious. Does she have unique card backs because she steals her opponent's cards?
Only in Tabletop Simulator, but yes, that is the reason that we are doing that.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So, oh, God, Umina, you were playing Byron earlier. Umina has them too.
Yes, that is correct.
Oh, okay. That makes that's a lot more straightforward than I thought. I've always wondered.
Yeah, the Umina card back.
Okay. Cool. All right. So, we've got a pretty solid two different pretty solid Eugenia game plans at this point. We've talked economy, normals, pretty much everything that I need to know to go and play Eugenia myself. The last thing we typically ask on this lesson, Zain, is about counterplay. So now that I know what Eugenia is doing, I'm assuming my opponent does too. What are they doing to stop me? What are my weaknesses? What are my what are the holes that they can exploit in my game plan?
Her attacks.
Okay.
A lot of what it boils down to is her attacks, because her attacks are only hitting for 2, hitting for 4. You can trade up into Eugenia very, very easily, and don't let them get hanging by a thread. Unless I'm playing you, then you allow me to get hanged by a thread. Then that's just how that works, right?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. You like a contractual obligation. Anybody watching this, you can't use the counterplay that Zane's telling you on Zain. That's not allowed.
Exactly. No, not allowed at all. But
you
don't don't allow them to get hanged by a thread. Don't be afraid to use a block with parry to get rid of just to get rid of Shimmer. Just to be like, okay, cool. Now either A, you're gonna give me a card in return with Queen, with the Queen boost, which you really hate doing, or you just try to find the other one and then hope that that you're able to get the other one and able to hit with it.
Right.
Which notably, especially if one Shimmer's down because you successfully parried it, if you stick to Eugenia's range 1, right? Like I talked a bit about how she has really scary stuff at range 1, but that's only if she's actually like set up properly. If she doesn't have gauge, we're not in late game. Color spray is really scary. Color spray is not at all safe, and everything else is pretty bad to mediocre at range 1. Under curve, non-functional, catches cross, and not much else. Trades with grasp. Like you can often bully her at range 1. You can often bully her at 1 to 3, to be honest. But like at range 1 in particular, she's not very good.
Oh yeah, no, like even playing into something like what was it, Zangief? Zangief, who really wants to be at range 1, you do not want to be in range 1 against Zangief.
Sure.
Yeah. Like that person is going to outstat you. She, unless she kills you, she's not very strong.
Right.
Like you filter this. You don't lose to this, and as long as you don't lose to this, you can probably like trade up against her very significantly and very consistently.
Okay. That makes sense. And it sounds like, honestly, like from what you guys have been telling me, another pretty important piece of Eugenia counterplay is like, don't get tilted.
Yes.
Yes.
Dear Lord, yes.
Yeah.
Having played against Zane's Eugenia a lot, and other Eugenias.
Yeah, that is fair.
If you start making bad decisions, it will cascade on itself. If you just stay calm and remember, like, yeah, she's gonna ruin your hand. She's gonna take away cards that you like. but you should always be prepared to give up the cards you love, because you don't need every card in your deck to kill your opponent. You've got 30 cards.
Yeah.
You will be fine. Like, don't accept that you will have nice things ripped away from you, and that's fine. Just use your less nice things to kill her. They will also kill her. It's fine.
Yeah, those less nice things are probably more damaging than many of the attacks that she can throw against you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So don't let it tilt you off the table. That will be your enemy.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me. Any other counterplay notes that I should be aware of? Or is it really kind of that simple?
It's kind of just that simple. It's just the fact that, like, don't let her get the +2 power, and then just basically
Just
keep her
bully her.
where just bully her. And if she's behind in life, more than likely, unless she hits you with the queen, with the color spray, with something big, more than likely she's just going to die, because
She just can't catch
can
up.
do is
Yeah.
because she can trade, and I absolutely love trading with this character, but she has issues with trading, because more than likely she's going to trade down than up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And eventually I got Gauge, and that's going to get me to Queen of Hearts. I got to transform. That's awesome for my late game. But eventually, like, I do need to finish the game. And
Yes.
I can't do that by trading down all game.
Like, in all honesty, like, even if you have a big hand size, stay at range 2. Don't go to range 1. Don't allow her to go to range 1. And now if she hits you with an assault and you come right in, then it's just, okay, you know what? You got me.
Right. Play around the big obvious
Yeah.
I win button.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she wants to play the big obvious I win button.
Oh, if I have that in hand, I will be playing it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Strongly consider the value of EX Grasp.
Mm.
Which, by the way, the counterplay is that at range is not
Focus.
1. Reading
Right.
is a really strong way to punish Grasp.
Right.
Yeah, strongly consider having EX Grasps, because then you beat 1 color spray, although then she might play 2.
Right.
Color spray, excuse me.
She's Eugenia, and how do you know you're going to be able to have EX Grasp?
Yes.
Right.
But having EX also means that if one gets ripped away, you're more likely to be able to keep the other.
Sure. Sure.
And consider the value of defend, because several of her scarier interactions don't work if you have extra defense, which, not everyone has defend, but if you have some way to get extra defenses, including, for example, playing an EX focus or an EX sweep,
right,
then her sweep won't crush you. And it is technically possible that Queen of Hearts won't stun focus, although often it does.
Right.
EX focus, excuse me, EX focus. I have in fact traded with Queen of Hearts by playing a defend EX focus. That I wasn't dead, so I'll hit back.
So it's this card is not used to trading.
Yeah. It was better than my alternatives, so I just took that 10 damage I think after armor and hit back for 5.
Okay.
But yeah, so bolster your defenses, accept that you will lose all your cards, or not all of them at once usually. Do not lose to color spray.
Right.
And play against Queen of Hearts. At some point, it's pretty likely that she'll find some way to secure the setup, make it as painful, as expensive, as costly, as lengthy, and then as unrewarding as you can, by making it so that the amount of cards you have in hand is a middling number and not 7 when she's ready to hit you with it.
Right. Okay. That makes sense to me. So, and kind of simultaneously, like a simple counterplay, but also this is a difficult needle that we're trying to thread. So especially the don't get salty part, be careful of that.
Yes.
So the final question that I have, we wrap up these lessons by talking about similar characters to Eugenia. So other characters, like if you are a huge Eugenia fan, who else might you like? What other character? Like if you were talking to a big Eugenia player who hasn't played more recent Exceed, are there any other characters who feel like obvious ones that they should pick up?
I really 100. I know you're gonna go with Gordeau. Oh my goodness, I hate Gordeau with a.
Don't mind me. Are you looking? Don't look over here.
I'm looking over there. I'm looking over there. A lot of times I don't know exactly. Like, maybe a character that can discard your opponent's hand. Now, granted, Eugenia does something that no other I don't believe any other really character does, and that is a random discard. And I think that is the strength of Eugenia. And okay,
I apologize. I'm just gonna have to tell you you're wrong, Zain.
That's fair.
Yeah, Marathi does not have it printed on his character, but he is known for making the opponent discard random cards.
Right.
That-
He's
that's
also
fine.
known for making himself discard random cards, which is also kind of, it sounds like a little bit of a Eugenia
That is
thing.
true. That is true. I'm talking about, okay, outside of, as far as I can remember, outside of season 1 and season 2, the random discard effect is not as prevalent as
It's-
like on a
it-
ton of different cards.
I'm thinking about
I could be wrong on that, though.
like Gordeau, as you mentioned, Zane, definitely is not random, for example. And I do
No,
think that like if how do I put this? If Eugenia's
Mhm.
character ability or if Eugenia's prominence of random discard effects were on another character, that character would have to have like similarly poor damage to Eugenia to not feel horrible. And I feel like Gordeau is
Oh,
kind
more
of
than
like
likely,
that. Yeah.
yeah. And I have feelings on Gordeau. Gordeau is one of my least favorite characters.
Hmm.
I thought I would actually really like him because it's like, cool, you get to discard your opponent's hand. Then when I read, it's not random, it's just they choose it. I'm like, I
Well, that's no
actively hate
fun.
that. Because it's just like the salt factor isn't as there.
Yeah, you can't savor your opponent's tears nearly
Mhm.
as much with Gordeau as you can with Eugenia.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And also it might have had something to do with the fact that Gordeau is the reason why Eugenia got switched off. Is why she's no longer legal to play.
Oh, I
In
see.
the that also might have something to do with it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. To be clear, it's not that Gordeau is the reason Eugenia was not legal. It's just that Eugenia became phased out of tournament play at the same time that Gordeau entered.
Right. Right.
Because we're doing a 4-season rotation. All right. I have some opinions. So Marathi, obviously a man who is the living sweep, well known for making everyone discard cards. Nobody needs cards. It's Marathi time. It's fine. This might be a curious take, and I know you haven't actually done this lesson yet, but a lot of the vibes of deprivation, where you don't let your opponent have nice things, are present in Amina. Amina is far more controlled, far more precise, not known for random discards, but very much known for preventing the opponent from doing what they want to do.
Okay.
So if you like that aspect, again, what's our Punnett square, right? If you want control, you don't necessarily care about making the opponent super salty. Umina is a very solid choice. And it will make some people salty. But anyway, this is not because their names are constantly confused by various people or because she's my favorite character. It is because she is also a mixed grappler, much more of a grappler. She doesn't have very good range tools. But if you like the grappler aspect of clubbing somebody for 1 million damage that they can't avoid, you got some options. You got some haymakers. And although there are various other grapplers in Exceed, probably the most notable half grapplers are Eugenia and, actually, I almost forgot, Guile.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can see that.
I didn't mean to do that.
Your new favorite character, D.
No, my Imogene.
Imogene, but with a flat top.
But very much more American.
That the amount of hair. All right, never mind.
I'll ask Moriarty to make us some card art later.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah.
We'll just leave that card up. Actually, that's fine.
Sure.
Anyway,
yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, so Guile again has range tools. Is not really notable for being ranged. Is, I think, significantly. He's either significantly more defensive than Eugenia or significantly more aggressive than Eugenia. Because there are multiple ways to play Guile, but either way, he actually doesn't really hit on her wavelength. He just is going to hit either much more aggressive or much more defensive, depending on how you play Guile.
He'll never hit the Eugenia sweet spot if that's what you're looking for. But if you wish that Eugenia was more aggressive or more defensive, Guile's right here.
Yeah, because he's not an engine character. If you don't like transformations, if you don't feel like trying to set up your in-game by interlocking a bunch of parts, then you can just hit them for a lot of damage and strong mix-ups.
Right. Okay.
And of course, we noted Gordeau.
Yep.
Not random discards. I actually haven't played a ton of Gordeau. I've played some. I kind of tried to get the hang of him. I found it to be fairly difficult. I think he is a resource attacking character. And he is kind of a mixed grappler. I don't think he really runs the haymakers. I think he just likes to have options at every range. He has attacks that hit at ranges 1 through 8. Like, or not, he has for each range, he has an attack that hits at the range.
Yeah, he's
4
got
to
a
8
4
is
through
like-
8 projectile. He's
yeah.
got a range 1 move. Yeah, he's got the spread like Eugenia does.
big old widespread.
Yep.
And then I'm surprised Zain didn't point this one out. Because Zain actually tried to pick up Hazama because of the random discards.
Yeah, the random discards. Hazuma's great. It's just not a character for me. And a lot of it is just due to the fact that like you have to be a little bit more resource oriented.
Mhm.
And
Hazama resource management is hard.
resource management does not ever like that's the reasons why it even becomes even funnier when dealing with like the most heavy resource management character I think I've actually played was 9.
Right, yeah.
And
The other character that I know that you have a very strong rep for is 9, which is like famously resource oriented.
Which is honestly like one of my least I still think 9 is actually one of my weaker characters because of that. Because there are times where literally I run into the thing where, oh hey, I needed this card. Crap, it's here, not in my hand. Well, yeah, it's a thing happened.
Yep. Yeah, Hazama incidentally is a little deceptive. He doesn't say anything about discarding cards. He does say he can draw cards. He can pay force costs more efficiently. He can move around more efficiently. He can move around more efficiently. He can pay force costs more efficiently. He can draw cards, and then he can draw cards. Okay, this one doesn't draw cards, but it might, because it might play this one. He can also draw cards. And finally, if you didn't like drawing cards, how about making the opponent discard their hands? The boost.
Yeah, there you go.
Most infamous boost in his kit. One of my favorites. Having fun yet.
Goodness.
Opponent discards up to 5 cards at random based on how much force he spent.
Yeah, this one's actually really hard for me. I see it in hand, I go, I need to play this.
Yeah, I feel
Again,
like Zain, knowing what you like about Eugenia now, like the sales pitch for Hazama is literally just this boost.
It's
right?
literally
Like,
just this boost.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
why he picked Hazama.
Look what you could do.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
But yes, Hazama is whereas Eugenia has a hard time getting ahead of the opponent's resources. She just attacks them and brings them down, and stays at about their same level, right? Like keeps them at a, she wants to knock the opponent's resources down, wants to knock their options down, but she doesn't really get a big edge. She doesn't get a big lead.
Right.
Not unlike Marathi. Like things tend to balance out. Marathi's actually better at destroying the opponent's hand than Eugenia, in that he gets to draw more cards than Eugenia does. Hazama is much better at, if you don't want to attack their resources, then you can build a huge surplus. You have a great economy. You'll use it, but you have a lot of ways to draw cards and a lot of ways to move around and tax the opponent's resources and annoy the heck out of them.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So,
and then if you do want to bring them down, you can spend that resource surplus to level things out.
Right. And presumably then capitalize on it with in a very similar way that Eugenia would, honestly. In a very similar, like, all right, now you're completely out of resources. I can take advantage of whatever I need to. So, like, in that moment, there's definitely some overlap between what she's doing. Other than that, it's just a different kind of annoyance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that makes sense. So, sounds like a pretty solid suite of characters. Very aesthetically different suite of characters, I would say.
You also have Eno. Eno's another one that it has the same type of stuff where it's like she has a lot of the different mix-up opportunities.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It tends to be more aggressive. Tends to be less backbreaker, less haymaker. And instead of the opponent discards cards, what Eno does is gains advantage, broadly speaking. Like, she does have... All right, so where's her having fun yet? Thank you, yes. Here's her having fun yet. It's the attack.
Wait, doesn't she also have sadism? Yeah. You just never play this because Big Tree is so good, but yeah, this boost is very Eugenia coded.
Yes, and I see it, and I go, yes, I need to hit with this. But then I'm looking at it, going like, I need to hit with the
attack.
With the attack, because I need the power, because she doesn't really have a whole lot of her attack power has kind of roughly the same issue that Eugenia kind of runs into, where she doesn't have a whole lot of
big red number.
Yeah, a big red number.
Right.
But when she exceeds, she goes +2 power when she uses her ability.
Plus power.
My bad. +1 power.
You often have a boost that you cancel on top, so it becomes +2. Yeah. But it's printed +1.
Yeah, it's +1, which is still insanely good.
Okay.
Still quite
okay.
good.
And then I see this, I see Megalomania, and I go, every single time I see it, I'd be like, I just need to spend this as something else. I do not play this card. Do not play this card.
Right.
I have to keep that in my head because
Yeah.
I really want to play this
Because
card.
the temptation, the devil, the same devil on your shoulder as we
Yes.
were talking about with Eugenia, it's here too. I get you.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I'm also gonna bring out Happy Chaos as another. He's the other major discard character in Strive, and he is there just to make the opponent feel bad.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes Happy Chaos happy, is to make you unhappy. So if all the like mix up grapplery, half grapplery dynamics, you're like, you could take or leave it. I'd rather just play like somebody kind of basic with a little bit of zoning, but also make my opponent constantly feel annoyed at me. Happy Chaos is your boy.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Sounds
And
good.
then you also have sorry about that. I didn't mean to add
Oh,
like
we're
2
going
other
on with more?
characters
You got more?
into this here. With Viper. Viper's another one that like I really quite enjoyed. Playing
I
indoor
think we're just
because
talking about Zane's favorite characters now.
Yeah.
fair.
Maybe a little bit.
But it's also she also runs. Actually, honestly, I feel like there's a throwaway with a lot of the characters I tend to like. They have mix-ups.
Yeah, mix-ups and
And
trading. Some of their mix-ups allow for consistent trading. Like, so
yeah,
you have the option to be consistent.
Right.
And then you have something that destroys the opponent's life. So this is her Haymaker. Draw 3, deal 8 damage.
and granted, her attacks still run into that same issue where she doesn't really have a whole lot of power, but her,
That's what she
her,
does.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what she does, and it's just like, you know what? I'll give my
This is how you
opponent,
draw cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
just give your opponent 3 power. Who cares? As long as you don't get hit, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like that's the through line for a lot of the characters I tend to play. Like even Yuzu kind of hits in that same category where Yuzu might be a little bit better because she has way more options.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So, but for Eugenia in particular, we're either going to be looking for this kind of like
Yeah.
combination of ranged and melee haymaker type of character, or a whole lot of discard, or just like pure annoyance factor.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I combined the decks. I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's a combined annoyance.
Yeah, this is we found it. The single most salt-inducing character in all of Exceed.
It's all of them at once.
It's all of them at once. I'd play it, to be honest with you. All right. So I think now I know everything there is to know about Eugenia. I am thrilled to go and find a victim, opponent, to test some of this stuff out with. I'm really, really excited to give that a try. Dee and Zain, thank you both so much for your time and your expertise. I really, really appreciate it. It was a great time talking to you.
My pleasure. Thanks very much for having me.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. I hope to talk to you both again soon. Folks at home, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope that you, Eugenia, responsibly. Please make sure that your opponent is okay with discarding a lot of cards before you play her. But I will see you all for the next one. Good night, everybody.
Bye. Oh, drink water. It's good for you. Stay hydrated.
Please do. Good night.